Hello and welcome back to another Football Commentaries live stream. It is a huge night in Arsenal's season as they host Porto at the Emirates in the second leg of their last 16 tie, which ended 1-0 to Porto after the first leg 3 weeks ago. Arsenal are currently on a winning run of 8 in a row in the Premier League, but did have a hiccup recently in that first leg to Porto. But in all 3 of their Champions League games at home this season, Arsenal, during the group stage, they won all 3, scoring 12 and not conceding a single goal. They put themselves top of the league at the weekend after their late win against Brentford at the Emirates, and due to the draw at Anfield between Liverpool and Manchester City, it does mean that Arsenal lead the title race going into the upcoming international break. For Porto, they also won at the weekend, which keeps them into third in the league and 7 points off top spot. But Porto did win 2 of their 3 away games in the Champions League group stage, with the wins coming against Shakhtar Donetsk and Royal Antwerp. Arsenal have been knocked out at this stage of the Champions League on the last 7 occasions, a curse they will want to come to an end tonight. And for Porto, they were knocked out at this stage last season to finalists Inter Milan. But in their history, they have won the Champions League twice, most recently 20 seasons ago under Jose Mourinho. This is the 8th meeting between the two, and Arsenal have got 3 wins, and they all have come at the Emirates. And in Porto's 3 visits here to the Emirates, they have never scored a goal. So, which side will make it to the last 8 of this season's Champions League? Although Porto have struggled at the Emirates for goals in their 3 previous travels here, they do have a lead to protect. They are 1-0 up going into this second leg. Sorry, I do apologise. Yeah, there we go. Lights on. Yeah, they do have a 1-0 lead to protect, scored very late on in the 4th minute of added on time through Galeno, the Brazilian left winger. It was his 5th Champions League goal. He's got 5 in 6. He scored 2 braces against Shakhtar Donetsk, home and away, and then scored in that first leg against Arsenal. He's got 13 goals in all competitions this season, Galeno. He got 15 in all of last season, so it looks like he'll beat his tally from last campaign. But Arsenal have got to have vast improvements from that first leg, not even registering a shot on target. They did dominate the possession, they had 65% of it, but only had 7 shots, 0 on target. But they have been absolutely frightening in the Premier League, winning their last 8 Premier League games, scoring 33, just conceding 4 goals in that run. It is rather scary, but Arsenal have had difficulties in Europe in recent years. They were knocked out by Portuguese opposition last season in the Europa League to Sporting Lisbon, and as I mentioned, they've got a horrific record at this stage of the competition recently. Last 7 occasions in the Champions League, they have been knocked out in the last 16 from 2010 through to 2017. They have also never won a Champions League, despite getting to the final in 2006, but falling to a defeat there to Barcelona, despite having the lead in that one as well. Well, they've got a lot to do here. I don't think it's a given for Arsenal, because obviously Porto will make this game very difficult for them. They will use all the old tricks in the book to slow the game down as much as possible and just try and frustrate Arsenal, which I think will be hard for them. I think this Arsenal team now realise that they've got to stay calm, stay patient, and just believe that the chances will come for them to score the goals to get back into this last 16 tie. The other last 16 tie is also Barcelona and Napoli. That's 1-1, so that's all to play for as well, just like this one here at the Emirates Stadium. But it's just a 1-goal lead for Porto to protect. That lead can go rather quickly depending on how fast Arsenal do start this game. But I believe they will start this one pretty quick, and it's down to Porto to just not get overwhelmed by the atmosphere and any early Arsenal chances, as Porto are looking to reach the quarter final stage. But for Porto, 3 of their last 4 exits in the knockout stages of the Champions League have been to English opposition. The last time they got to the quarterfinals was in the 2020-2021 season, where they were knocked out by Chelsea. And that was during COVID, so both legs, I believe, were played in the Sevilla Stadium. But they'll have Pepe leading them out, the 41-year-old centre-back. He's the oldest ever outfield player to play in the Champions League. He recently turned 41 on the 26th of February. He's a fantastic player to have in your back four. Even though he is 41, the experience he will bring will really be it'll be worth a lot to Porto. As for Pepe, he is making his 120th Champions League appearance. He has won the competition 3 times previously in his 10-year stint at Real Madrid, as both teams now are emerging onto the pitch from the tunnel at the Emirates Stadium. What a huge night for both sides, especially Arsenal, who have not been in the Champions League knockout stages since 2017. The last time they had a last 16 game here at the Emirates was 2,562 days ago. It was back on the 7th of March 2017 when they were absolutely thumped 5-1 by Bayern Munich in both legs. In fact, they lost 10-2 on aggregate that time around. But it's a completely different Arsenal team, squad, and it's a different club altogether. And they'll definitely have the belief they can turn this around. But they did struggle last season in the Europa League to Sporting Lisbon. They were knocked out on penalties. So they definitely do need to be careful, and they cannot underestimate this Porto side, who will have the fire in the belly to try and see this one through and get themselves into the last 8 of the Champions League. I think it all depends on how Arsenal start. If it's a quick start and they can get an early goal, I think the game will go in their favour. But if they just struggle to get those shots off and it maybe gets to half-time at 0-0 still, then a little bit of nerves will start emerging into the crowd and that energy might go on to the players. And, we've got to look at all aspects of this last 16 tie. If Porto take a lead and go 2-0 up, yes, there's no away goals, which I think is a little bit rubbish these days. I believe they should have kept the away goals, but because there's no real emphasis for Porto to go and score an away goal, really, they might as well just defend what they've got already. But if they can get 2-0 up here at the Emirates, then it would make it a very interesting game. We'll go through both teams now. We'll start with the Arsenal side. He just made one change from the first leg. It remains David Raya in goal, with a back four of Ben White, William Saliba, Gabriel and Jakub Kivior. 2 holding midfielders of Declan Rice and Jorginho. Just in front of them is going to be captain Martin Odegaard. On the left is Leandro Trossard. On the right is Bukayo Saka. And up front, scoring the winner at the weekend, it is Kai Havertz, a Champions League winner himself, scoring the winner in the final back in 2021. And for Porto, they are unchanged from the first leg and unchanged from their last league game. It is Diogo Costa in goal, the 24-year-old who has had interest from plenty of big European clubs. Back four of João Mario at right back. At left back is Wendell, and the 2 centre-halves is Pepe and Otavio. 2 holding midfielders of Nico Gonzalez, who was brought in from Barcelona in the summer, and alongside him is Alan Varela, who was also brought in the summer from Boca Juniors. On the right-hand side is going to be Francisco Conceição, who is the son of manager of Porto, Sergio Conceição. On the left is going to be Galeno, the man who is separating the two sides at the minute with that 94th minute goal in the first leg. In behind the striker is going to be number 11, Pepe. They have got 2 Pepes, unfortunately, commentator's nightmare. And up front, leading the line for Porto, is Evan Nilsson, who has got the 21 goals so far this season. He scored a hat-trick in the Champions League away at Royal Antwerp in late October. He also got a hat-trick as well in the Cup for Porto. So he has been in the goals this season. Evan Nilsson, the Brazilian, 24-year-old. And they'll need him to be on it today, because any chances Porto get, they really could do with taking them to put this pressure on Arsenal. And they are the 2 starting 11s here at the Emirates. It's Arteta against Conceição. Despite not having the greatest of league seasons, Porto, they are well in this game in the Champions League. They finished second last season, behind Benfica, who won the division. This time they're third in the league, 7 points behind top. So realistically for Porto, the league title might be off the cards. So a run deep into the Champions League could make up for a poor domestic campaign, as it'll be Porto to kick us off, kicking right to left. Arsenal left to right here at the Emirates Stadium. It is with Pepe, the Porto captain, goes across to Otavio, his centre-back partner, who's been closed down quickly by Ødegaard. He clears it forward, Otavio, over Ben White, can't be kept in by Galeno. And it's a throw-in just inside the Arsenal half here for Ben White, taken quickly to Jorginho. And we are underway here as Arsenal take on Porto in this last 16 tie, where Porto have a 1-goal advantage. And Arsenal want to try and wipe that advantage out as quickly as possible. As the midway inside their own half here, Jorginho to the near side to Ben White, who's got a bit of time on the ball, plays it forward and in behind here, looking for the run of Havertz. It's Otavio to clear up for Porto, and then bundled over by the German international, and that'll be a free kick in a left-back position for Porto. Havertz just going a bit too hard there on Otavio, the Porto centre-back, who was only brought in January for €12 million from Famalicão in Portugal. Assisted the goal for Porto against Arsenal in the first leg. As the ball's cleared forward, headed forward by Saliba onto the halfway line. Headed backwards by Havertz, played forward by Galeno down the centre of the field, but Evan Nilsson wasn't there to chase it. It goes through for David Raya in the Arsenal goal, and it'll be the home side to build from the back inside their own half with the number 2, William Saliba. Clips it forward to Ben White, who chests it down midway inside the Porto half on the near side. He's got Galeno in front of him, so has to force his way back to Saliba. He's now in the centre circle here to Gabriel. Loads of time on the ball for the Brazilian centre half. Goes back across to Saliba, who's in the Porto half at the minute. Still got time on the ball. Goes to his right here to White. Back into the number 2 of Saliba. Jorginho to Saka first time, then back into Saliba. White, first time ball with his left foot, deflects forward for Porto, but as far as Saliba, who will try and go in behind for Havertz, slightly overhit, and it's an easy catch there for Diogo Costa. A couple of times there, Arsenal just trying a cheeky ball over the top, maybe trying to catch out this Porto defence if possible, but they've been switched on for the early exchanges. This Costa, the goalkeeper, goes very long, deep into the Arsenal half, to the right centre-back is Saliba, who heads it into the sky, comes off Jorginho. And he'll have a second go at the header, but he's shoved to the ground there, and that'll be a free kick for Arsenal. A slight knock in the head there by Evan Nilsson on Jorginho. Yeah, went in with the elbow, Evan Nilsson. And Jorginho wins the free kick for Arsenal. But for Mikel Arteta, this is his first ever Champions League campaign as a manager. He's had 3 Europa League campaigns with Arsenal, and none of them were very successful. Did almost reach a final a couple of seasons ago, but never got to a final as Saka's chopped down quite viciously, but it's a ball that's been won, but it deflects out to the left here for Arsenal with Trossard. Saka's back to his feet, Trossard around the outside, works across, which deflects to the far post. White heads it forward, and it lifts onto the roof of the net. Not a bad header there from Ben White, who doesn't score very often. He's only got his 4 Arsenal goals in his career since joining in July 2021. But Saka cutting in to his left foot, and he was tackled strongly, but the attack continued as it deflected to an Arsenal man, and eventually it was Trossard to work the cross to the far post. White won the header, but just looped it onto the roof of the net. But it's a half chance for Arsenal to start this game off. As Rice controls in the centre circle, loses out here to Porto's Varela, and they've worked out to the right flank here to João Mario. Now to Conceição. Back into the Porto half here with captain Pepe. On the halfway line, goes into Varela. Across to the left centre-back here of Otavio. Now to the goalkeeper Costa, midway side the Porto half, as Arsenal set up in a 4-4-2 when defending and when trying to press. Back out to Otavio, the number 31 for Porto. Down the left-hand side, it's got height on it. It's in behind, in towards the 18-yard box. Raya comes and gets the right foot to it. Volleys out for a throw-in. Had to get there. He's a bit hesitant because Raya realised that the ball wasn't going to come into his 18-yard box, so got rid. Took no risks. And it's a throw-in for Porto in the final third. On this near side, it looks like it might be a long one here from Galeno, the only goal scorer in this last 16 tie at the moment. Yeah, Porto have set up in the Arsenal 18-yard box towards the near post. The throw-in goes long into the area, flicked away by Saliba. Drops here to Wendell, the Porto left-back. Back out to Galeno. Now restarting with the goalkeeper Costa in the Porto half. That's a long pass back, really making Porto restart. With their goalkeeper number 99, Diogo Costa, who was born in Switzerland but moved to Portugal at the age of 7 and represented them in the World Cup in Qatar most recently. And it's now with the left centre half of Otavio. Bit of possession for Porto, which they won't mind. Otavio forward again, controlled here and pulled out to the left-hand side by Evan Nilsson in the left wing position. 1-on-1 with White in the final third. Has to play it backwards here, then into the path of Wendell, who goes for a low cross, comes off Ben White to Saka, who slices the ball away. It's another throw-in for Porto in the exact same area as the last one. So I'm presuming it'll be another long throw-in there by Galeno. But he's well picked up by Evan Nilsson. Worked himself out to the left wing, but couldn't quite create anything with it. But they have got another long throw-in. And they are the Porto supporters. 5-hour round trip for them. All together, there and back. As Galeno went short with the throw-in, but he's got the return ball from Wendell. His cross comes off the right foot of Havertz, and it's a throw-in towards the halfway line for Porto. Seems a bit of a waste that from the away side, whose last loss was 7 games ago on the 12th of February against Aruca. So they are on a decent little run themselves, Porto. So they will have confidence in this game. It's with their goalkeeper in the 18-yard box, Costa. Forward to Varela. Goes to the right here to Pepe. 41 years of age now. Brazilian-born Pepe. But has represented Portugal 134 times. Making 19 appearances in the European Championships. One that they won in 2016. Then also has played 12 games in a World Cup. So plenty of experience as they switch out towards João Mario on the Porto right. It's been dealt with by Trossard. He clears it long towards Havertz, who chests it down with the arm. So he doesn't chest it. Brings it down with the arm, according to tonight's referee, Clement Turpin. 41 years old, yeah, clearly off the arm there from Havertz. Was the Champions League final referee for Liverpool's defeat to Real Madrid back in 2022. So he's a very highly regarded referee in Europe. Clement Turpin. So it's quite far away, but it's definitely an opportunity for Porto to launch it into the box. Pepe's gone up for it. So chance for Porto here to deliver the ball in. They go across to a central area here to Pepe, the attacking midfielder. Then into the box it goes through Varela. Cleared away for Arsenal, but kept for Porto by Pepe, the centre-half. And it's back into their own half here with the goalkeeper of Costa. Bit of a waste that. Don't know why they played the ball centrally there, Porto, when they already had a bit of an angle to put across in the box. Costa forward. And then played back by Gonzalez to Pepe. Almost lost possession there quite cheaply, Porto in their own half. Something they don't want to be doing. Porto kicks it out with his left foot. Costa kicks it out with his left foot to the right-hand side. Well controlled by right-back João Mario. Now Pepe, midway side, his own half. On the ball. Not got many options in front of him. But he will go back to the edge of the box to the goalkeeper of Costa. It's now Otavio, the 6'2" Brazilian centre-half. Looking down the line again for a pass. It goes through Saka, but it'll be White to get there ahead of Wendell, the left-back, who can block the White clearance, and it's a throw for Arsenal towards their right-back area in their own half. It'll be taken by the number 4 of Ben White, who did play the full game in the first leg against Porto. There's White. Clears it forward after getting the return ball from Rice. Volleys it down the right flank where Havertz can't quite keep it in for Arsenal. Throwing for Porto in their own half here. It's been a decent start from the away team. They've had quite a lot of the ball. More than I thought they were going to have. They've not really tested David Raya yet in the Arsenal goal. But at least they've had some time on the ball themselves. Throwing down the line by Wendell. Can't be flicked on by Gonzalez. Header inside by Havertz. Volleyed by Pepe. Beyond the halfway line. Out to the left-hand side where Saliba will let it bounce. And he'll hook it over his head. Clear towards the halfway line. Where it's controlled by Varela. Out to the left here to Galeno. And then back to the halfway line to Wendell. And it's Porto in possession again. Inside their own half. Being forced backwards from the Arsenal press. It's now on the edge of the box with their goalkeeper Diogo Costa. Who's looking for his 10th Champions League clean sheet of his career. And he goes long out to the Porto right here, looking for Conceição. Header out by Kivior. throwing about 15 yards inside the Arsenal half for Porto on their right flank. Taken quickly into their own half by Mario into Pepe. It's now back with the goalkeeper once again. 10 minutes in, we've had little chances from both sides. We've had a Ben White header over the crossbar early on as Ødegaard tackles Otavio in the final third on the right-hand side. Ødegaard with an opportunity. Saka's overlapping. Ødegaard goes inside and lifts a cross in, headed into the air by Pepe. Still alive in the box, controlled by Trossard to Kivior, who gets it across towards the penalty spot. Stabbed away there for Porto. And they survive a slight scare there. Give away from Otavio. It was good pressing, though, from Ødegaard to win the ball high. But nothing came as a result. But Arsenal still have it. Halfway line, Gabriel forced to go backwards to Raya on the edge of the 18-yard box as he had a Porto player right on his back there. Arsenal did go 7 months without a home loss when they lost against Brighton in mid-May last year, and then fell to a defeat to West Ham on the 28th of December, which is their only loss at home in the league this season for Arsenal. They have won 9 of their last 10 at home in the league. As White goes forward to Saka, just inside the Arsenal half, finds Ødegaard inside, bit of time to find a pass, goes to the left centre half of Gabriel, forward to Rice, the Conference League winner last season at West Ham. Finds Kivior, ball in behind for Trossard, who will give chase to it. Pepe will get there first in the 18-yard box, goes to his goalkeeper, who lifts it forward to the right back of Mario, who can get beyond the challenge, well, nearly got beyond the challenge of Rice, but was brought down instead by the Arsenal number 41. And it's a Porto free kick. Has been quite a comfortable start for the away team, which they probably didn't expect. They were probably going to expect a bit of an Arsenal onslaught, but they've had a decent amount of possession, the away side, already, as they go along with the free kick here. Down the right-hand side, chested away by Gabriel, and then volleyed off Evan Nilsson, and that'll be a goal kick for Arsenal. Ball forward by Raya. Can't find Saka, caught out by Wendell, but straight to White, who gets it over the top here for Saka as Wendell's out of possession. Out of position. Saka goes around the outside of Gonzalez, enters the box. Saka strikes it towards goal. It's spilt by the goalkeeper, and he avoids the corner, parrying the ball away, but it's kept alive by Saka to the edge of the box to Ødegaard. Across here to Jorginho, through for Ødegaard again. He wants to get the shot off, but he's tackled by Otavio. And it's a corner kick for Arsenal on the near side. Not the greatest of attempts there by Saka, but it couldn't be held by the goalkeeper of Costa. So Arsenal set piece. They've been quite clinical from corners and crosses recently. It's going to be Saka with his left boot to deliver this ball in. Arsenal's number 7 to deliver the ball. Right arm raised. Goes short to Trossard. Then back through for Saka in the area, who cuts it back with his right foot. Ødegaard shoots towards the near post and skims the side netting. And behind it goes for a goal kick. Well worked by Arsenal. Expects probably more from himself there. Martin Ødegaard, who did score twice in the group stage for Arsenal. Currently on 8 goals for the season in all competitions. He scored 15 in the entirety of last season, and that they all came in the Premier League. It's Porto go along with Otavio. Headed forward by Saliba into the centre circle, collected by the attacking midfielder of Pepe for Porto. Now worked out to the left to Galeno on the halfway line. Intercepted off Saka, then bounces off Havertz, and a throw-in on halfway for Porto on this near side as Sergio Conceição, the Porto manager, barking out the instructions. This is his 50th Champions League game as a manager for Conceição, excluding qualifying. He's picked up 25 wins and 17 losses. He's had 2 quarter-final runs with Porto in 2019 and 2021, both exiting the competition after facing English opposition. As Otavio again nearly gives it away. Havertz almost got on the end of his poor clearance, but Otavio can get it away, headed forward by Gabriel on the halfway line. Trossard into Rice in the central area, peeling himself out to the left wing here. Got Pepe coming across, but Rice can get around him towards the byline. Rice can cross. It deflects low. Dealt with by João Mario. Now Conceição, the right winger, doing his defensive work here on loan from Ajax. Goes back through into João Mario, whose turn is dispossessed by Kivior. Flicks it into Rice, who remains on the left wing. Lays it off into Trossard, outside the area. Onto his right foot. Scoops the ball in. Saka with the header. Can't direct it towards goal. It's back out towards Trossard on the left wing. Headed forward by Conceição. Evan Nilsson gets the touch ahead of Kivior. And he runs out of room, out of play it goes. Throwing taken quickly towards Rice on the byline, who can't control the ball ahead of Pepe. And the experienced centre-back shields the ball for a goal kick. Good cross from Trossard. Saka with a header from around 8 yards out. Just couldn't direct it towards goal. Went back where it came from there, that header. I don't think Arsenal have been as dominant as they probably would have liked to have been in the early parts of this game. The dream start would have been an early goal, but they've not really had too many shots on target at the moment. But when they have had a shot on target, it was a worry for the goalkeeper, Diogo Costa, who spilt it behind almost for a corner. As Evan Nilsson picks up sloppy header from Saliba, he'll shoot from the edge of the box. And it's just dragged wide there by Evan Nilsson. It was a cheap opportunity for him to receive from Arsenal. They just booted it long, Porto, and Saliba on the edge of the box just tried to head it away, but it was straight to Evan Nilsson, who got there in front of Jorginho. And he shot to that far corner, wasn't too far away, with his left foot aiming to the bottom right corner. Just a yard or so wide. He's probably struck worse than that, Evan Nilsson. He's having the season of his life for goals, 21 in all competitions, double what he got last season. He got 10 in all competitions last season. As Arsenal have it in the centre circle, headed forward by Gabriel, headed back forward by Gonzalez. It's a bit of head tennis as Saliba nods it out to the right here to Havertz, who's got Otavio on his back, and it's a throw-in for Arsenal. Just poked away out of play from Otavio. Looks like it's going to be a difficult night for Havertz as they've got two very commanding centre-backs, Porto, in Pepe and Otavio. Saliba on the halfway line. Time on the ball as Porto have every man behind the ball at the moment. The only change for Arsenal from the first leg is Martinelli out for Jorginho. Martinelli is currently injured, but we know in big games Arteta does like to go for the Jorginho and Rice pivot in the midfield. Saliba out to the right here to Ben White in the final third. Loads of blue and white shirts in his way, so he goes back into Saliba, who's just found himself on this near side. Forward to Saka, inside to Ødegaard, edge of the box. Bit of time, but took too long. Tackle from behind there by Porto's number 22 of Alan Varela. It was well worked to Ødegaard. He just took way too long on the ball. Even though he had time, obviously in the professional game, a lot of times, probably 2 seconds or so. He didn't shift it in time, Ødegaard. That's better. First time pass to Saka. Back inside to Ødegaard. Then out wide looking for White. Cut out in the 18-yard box by Wendell, who finds Galeno. Inside. Can't quite find Evan Nilsson. And it's dealt with there by Arsenal as they win a free kick. I think Evan Nilsson just tried to slide in there, but caught Jorginho as he tried to win the ball back. Evan Nilsson. He didn't quite get to the ball first there. So Jorginho is back to his feet. Also part of that Chelsea team who won the Champions League in the 2021 season. As Barcelona are 2-0 up in their game against Napoli. So they're 3-1 up on aggregate. So it's on the near side for Arsenal. About midway side the Porto half. So quite a length away from the goal. But it's quite a nice angle for a cross which seems to be on for Declan Rice, who just wants a slight word with Martin Ødegaard, the Arsenal captain, for what they're going to do with this cross. So the Porto line is on the 18-yard box. So it'll be Rice to take it. One-man wall in front of him. It goes beyond the one-man wall. Porto push up, free volley for Gabriel towards the top left corner. I think he was flagged for offside. Porto's line pushed up as it was taken. Yep. Every single one of the Arsenal players offside there. It was risky, but it worked there for Porto, who obviously realise Arsenal's tactics of leaving a few players in an offside position when they are taking a free kick. 20 minutes in, still 0-0 here. Arsenal have definitely started to dominate the game a bit more, but they've not had loads of clear-cut opportunities. As the goal kick out to the left-hand side, it goes over the head of Gonzalez, headed away by White, kept in there by Jorginho, and it's forward by Wendell into Gonzalez. Now into Pepe, the attacking midfielder, whose ball forward is cut out by the head of Gabriel. Rice quickly forces it to the far side of the Trossard. Midway side the Arsenal half, he's got João Mario closing him down the right back, and he fouls him a bit too aggressive there. The Porto fall back, and it's a free kick for Arsenal, won by Leandro Trossard. So it's Arsenal on the ball with their number 6 of Gabriel, who's yet to score in the Champions League. Came slightly close just before that volley, but he was offside. Switches out to the left of Trossard, whose touch out wide has just been able to stay in. It's a throw for Arsenal, tackled there by the fullback of João Mario. It's now Saliba, the furthest back for Arsenal. To the left here to Gabriel, he's got time on the ball. Plays it forward to Trossard, then around the corner to Kivior, who will get there before it goes out. Back inside towards Trossard, dealt with there by Conceição, as Porto will want to break. Tries to get beyond Jorginho, pulled back though, and I think he's avoiding the yellow. I think quite fortunately there, Jorginho knew what he was doing, tactical foul, pulling down Conceição. And Porto have a free kick, taken quickly by the centre-half Pepe. It's now to the left centre-half of Otavio on this near side. Clears it forward. It's dummied by Galeno. Evan Nilsson's just slightly asleep there. Didn't quite catch the drift of the Porto left winger for the dummy. So it was Saliba to get there first. He now has the ball to White at right back in the defensive third. Forward for Saka. Dispossessed by Wendell fairly. Nothing given by the referee, despite the complaints from Mikel Arteta. So on the edge of the Porto 18-yard box with their goalkeeper Costa. Out to the right here. Bit of time for Pepe, the midfielder, who strides away from Rice. Down the line here for João Mario, who pulls it back for Evan Nilsson. Touching the area, strikes it towards goal. Big save from Raya. Conceição keeps it alive into the area towards the byline on his left foot. Deflected cross, headed by Evan Nilsson. Laid off by Gonzalez to Wendell, who shoots, and that's powerful. And it's blocked and away. But Porto have had the biggest chance of the game there for me. Evan Nilsson spinning and shooting and forcing a save from David Raya. One you'd probably expect him to make, but he was equal to it. And it remains 0-0 here, as they've already worked it back out to the far side here, Porto, with Conceição going on the outside of Kivior. The cross is in as he's kept the ball in play. And Evan Nilsson can't quite get the shot away ahead of Gabriel. Arsenal clear, but can't keep it through Havertz. And it's back on the halfway line with the away team, and that is Otavio on the ball. Back to Costa, the goalkeeper, as Ødegaard was coming out to press. There's Diogo Costa. Big ball out to the left. In behind for Galeno. Raya comes out again outside of his box. And out it goes for a Porto throw. Towards the final third here on the near side. Porto certainly look like they can score a goal here. And they're looking rather calm in the defensive areas. So it's definitely been a very successful opening 23 minutes for Porto and Sergio Conceição, who will be delighted with his team start. As they go long again through their goalkeeper, out to the right-hand side here, where the header's forward by Kivior, kept in by Trossard, but runs out of room on the far side. It'll be a throw-in for Porto. They want to take it quickly, but no one's there running for it, so they'll just take their time. Trossard wanted a free kick there, as he felt he was bundled to the ground, but it was a bit too soft for me. But Evan Nilsson with the shot there, who's got 4 goals in the Champions League, a hat-trick against Antwerp away. With Porto, midway side their own half here, with Pepe going back to the goalkeeper in a full yellow strip tonight, and that is Costa. It's now with the left centre-back of Otavio, making Ødegaard come across to the near side. Otavio, high ball, in behind for Galeno, who can't quite control it. He got in behind White as well there, Galeno. His touch needed to be better, but it wasn't up to the required standard. And it's a goal kick for Arsenal, but I think they're quite fortunate there. That could have been an opportunity for Galeno, who found himself in behind White. goal kick will be taken by Gabriel for Arsenal on the 6-yard line, as it has been Porto who have had the more of the ball. As Raya goes forward to Jorginho on the edge of the box, out to the left there to Gabriel, who's got Nico Gonzalez in front of him, so it goes back into the 18-yard box to Raya. Saliba in the Arsenal half goes across to Gabriel. He's looking for his options. He's got Evan Nilsson close to him for Porto. They've got it to Saliba. His first ever Champions League campaign this season for William Saliba. His Europa League campaign last season was cut short after being injured in the last 16 game at home to Sporting Lisbon, being knocked to the ground there by Evan Nilsson, and that'll be a free kick for Arsenal, taken short to the left centre half here of Gabriel, as they're finding it hard to get the ball forward here, the home team. As it's now on the near side here with Ben White, who has travelled into the Porto half, on looking for the option. He has to go backwards here to Saliba, who's assessing the options. He's going to go over the top with a ball to White, who will get there, and he controls it. It's not a great touch. Allows Wendell to get in there and clear the ball. Finds Galeno, and he can't quite return it to Wendell. That's a throw in for Arsenal. Taken quickly into the box to Havertz, whose touch gets him outside the area. Flicked away there by Varela. And it's still with Arsenal with Bukayo Saka, who's been forced backwards there by Gonzalez. Again, Arsenal just struggling to get the ball forward. Then when they do, the next pass just isn't on. They've been worked all the way back to the goalkeeper of David Raya. He's going to go long himself this time. Out to the Arsenal left, looking for Trossard. Header won by João Mario. Only as far as Ødegaard. As it's now in the centre of the park here with Jorginho. Back out to the left here to Trossard. Rice in support. Skips beyond Mario and crosses towards Rice. And that'll be a hard one for Rice. He heads it wide, but as he headed it, he just went straight into Pepe, the centre-back. Good work from Trossard on the left-hand side to skip beyond Mario. And the cross by Rice. The cross by Trossard fell onto the head of Rice at the near post. But he couldn't direct it towards goal, and he just got a slight Pepe shoulder in the nose. But Rice should be okay to continue. It's Porto go long again with their goalkeeper Costa. Out to the left-hand side, no one there to collect it. Straight out for a throw-in for Arsenal. In the box with Raya. Still in the 18-yard area with Gabriel. Got Conceição in front of him, but finds Rice, who then goes out to the left to Kivior. He's got green grass to run into here. The full-back, and you lay it off to Jorginho. And out to the right we go to White. Crosses the halfway line. He's got Saka in front of him, who is furthest right, and he finds him. Everything to his left here for Saka. Running at Wendell. Goes on the outside, or attempts to, and he can't quite get around him. Ball goes out for a goal kick. Good defending there by Wendell. The 30-year-old left-back, who's making his 35th Champions League appearance tonight. Brought in August 2021 from Bayer Leverkusen, where he spent 7 years of his career. Wendell, as they restart with their goalkeeper here, Costa. Otavio, a left centre-back, receives it, touches heavy in front of him, just about keeps it in play, but the clearance bounces off the chest of Saka, straight to Gonzalez, so it's back with Porto. Pepe, the attacking midfielder, swings it out to the right flank here to João Mario, who's midway inside the Arsenal half. He's got Conceição making a run in front of him, drives inside himself, then lays it off to Varela, and it's back out to the right here to Conceição, who onto his left foot will cross early. It's a deeper one towards Galeno, who heads it across, then it's caught by Raya, just avoided Evan Nilsson. And Porto are showing exactly why they are leading this tie. They look dangerous going forward, and like I say, defensively, they're looking rather sound at the moment, but that could change here as Ben White overlaps Saka, who in the box plays it to White, lifts it to the far post. Pepe just flicks behind for a corner. It's a vital touch from Pepe, as that floating cross to the far post by White was looking destined for the back of the net, as Havertz was just nipping in at the far post. Really good header there by Pepe. He just slightly collided with the post with his right arm. That would have caused some discomfort for the 41-year-old. He's back to his feet. And it'll be a right-footed in-swinger here on the far side with Declan Rice. Plenty of bodies in there for him to aim for. There's half an hour in here at the Emirates. It's still goalless. 1-0 on aggregate to Porto. Rice delivers in the 6-yard box towards the near post, headed on by Evan Nilsson, the Porto striker, and then cleared away eventually out for an Arsenal throw-in on the near side. Didn't take any risks. There's that João Mario. As Arsenal wanted to take the throw-in quickly, but there was an extra ball on the pitch, so they have to retake once again. So White with the ball in his hands. Throws it backwards here to Saliba, who's wanting to go forward. And he will find Saka, who's been closely marked by Gonzalez, who trips him as he tries to turn the Porto number 16. And that'll be a free kick on this near side for Arsenal. And they go quickly in towards Havertz. And the referee stops play. Free kick was taken too quickly. Ben White wanted to take it around the corner here. Looking for Havertz, who couldn't quite get a touch onto it, and it nearly went straight through into the back of the net anyway from White. But it just went past the post, but the referee didn't want the free kick to be taken. He wasn't prepared. So Arsenal can set this one up. About 30 yards out, right on this near side. It's towards the touchline here, so it's quite wide where it has to be taken, but good angle to get across in. The right foot of Rice is over it, and so is the left foot of Ødegaard. It'll be the left foot of Ødegaard to cross in. It's a deeper one. Costa comes for it, punches away. Only as far as Saka in the box on the right-hand side. Tries to recycle the ball back in. Deflects off Wendell. And that'll be a corner on the near side for Arsenal. Saka waiting to take as the referee has to come across here to Wendell, the left-back. He's just in a bit of pain at the moment, holding his face. Let's have a look. As Saka crossed it, the ball just slightly deflected off Wendell's face. I think he's just using it as a little bit of a slow-down tactic. For Porto, as they are coming under a little bit of pressure here now at the Emirates. Be a left-footed in-swinger from Saka. He's gone short before with a corner, but I think this one's just going to be a cross directly into the box. In it goes, near post, free header one. Porto can clear it. Out for a throw, and it goes for Arsenal. They want to take it quickly here with Saka. And he tries to throw it in behind for Havertz. It goes through towards the German. But it's collected in the 6-yard box by Costa, the goalkeeper. Quickly off his line to avoid any little cut through the defence there for Arsenal. But Arsenal are looking to reach the quarter-finals of the Champions League for the first time since the 09-10 season, where they played Barcelona, drawing 2-2 in the first leg at home, but then losing 4-1 in the second leg, with Lionel Messi scoring all 4 goals. As Napoli have one back in their game against Barcelona, so it's 2-1 on the night. 3-2 on aggregate to Barcelona in the other last 16 tie being played tonight. Porto take the throw-in down the line by Wendell. Kicked away by Jorginho. Another throw-in for Porto. Midway inside their own half here. As it'll be. Sorry about that noise. Wendell takes it. Throws it down the line. Trying to find Galeno, but he's tackled by Saliba. Then Saka tackled fairly by Wendell, and Pepe tries to get away with the ball going forward, but tackled by Jorginho. And the attack dies down for Porto as Rice has it. Just coming out towards this far side for Arsenal, crossing the halfway line, laying it off for Trossard, who's shoved off the ball by Conceição fairly, according to the referee, despite the calls from the Arsenal supporters. And Porto can attack now. Plays it to the right back of João Mario, who's midway side the Arsenal half, forced to go back here, and it's on the halfway line with Pepe, the centre half, and then to the goalkeeper Costa. Just Porto on the ball. Quite settled in the game, the away team. Porto have progressed and been eliminated from 3 of their last 6 Champions League ties, which they've won the first leg. They have never won both legs in a knockout tie in this competition. Porto, they have always either won one and then drew or lost the other leg. As Arsenal have it in their own half with Saliba. Goes to his left to Gabriel as he was being closed down by Evan Nilsson. It's now Rice, just next to Gabriel. Into the centre-back again. Now into the 18-yard box to Raya. High ball, forward, out to the right-hand side where Saka will try and bring it down, but the touch is loose. And it's going to be a throw in there for Porto, who have won 8 of their 13 league away games this season, Porto, but have only won 2 of their last 6 on their travels in the league, which isn't a fantastic record to have going into a bigger European away day. But like I say, they've not lost in their last 6 games, Porto, in all competitions. As they've got the ball in their 18-yard box with the right centre-half here of Pepe. Back to Costa, the goalkeeper. He finds right back João Mario in the defensive third. High ball down the right-hand side. Pepe, the attacking midfielder, will chase it. It's controlled by Gabriel and his touch goes out of play. Porto throwing on the far side. As they can push up the pitch here, the away side. And it'll be the right back João Mario to take the throw in here. As they throw it back to the halfway line here to Pepe. Now into number 22, Alan Varela. Switches it out to the left, and it's a bit of an audacious one to overhit there towards Wendell. And it's a throw in for Arsenal on this near side. White throws back to Saliba. Hoofs the ball away with his right boot. Controlled by Varela. That's a lovely touch over Havertz, and then back to Pepe, and Porto are back in possession. Really good play there from Alan Varela. Just 22 years of age, the holding midfielder. Brought in the summer from Boca Juniors. As Otavio lifts it forward towards the halfway line. Header won by Saliba. Winning the ball ahead of Evan Nilsson. It's a throw in for Porto just before the halfway line on this near side. They lose it through the throw-in. And the throw goes to the central part of the pitch here for Arsenal. Finds Havertz, flicks it to the left there to Trossard. He's going to try and go back out to the right. Finds Jorginho in the central area. Then out to the left it goes to Kivior. Back into Rice. All Porto players are currently behind the ball. It's now with Saliba. Finds White on this near side. Back to Saliba. Jorginho into White. Touch is loose. Tackled there by Evan Nilsson, who backheels it into Wendell, who can keep it in. He's right next to the corner flag now. The left back finds Otavio, who then clears it down the line. It's going to curl in, and Saliba pulls down Galeno. And that'll be a booking for William Saliba. Realised that the ball went in behind him, Saliba, and also realised that Galeno was probably going to go around him and get onto it. And he knew that couldn't happen. So he just held on to Galeno until he fell to the ground and the possible counter-attack was dead. So free kick for Porto. Yellow card for their number 2, William Saliba, who made his 70th Arsenal appearance at the weekend against Brentford. Otavio goes long with the free kick down the Porto left, up towards the edge of the 18-yard box. Headed forward by Saliba, put into the sky by Jorginho. Header won by Rice, flicked on by Ødegaard. Can't quite reach Trossard. It's now back with Porto in their own half with left centre half of Otavio. And again, it's been quite an even game so far. Porto will be more than happy with this first half performance and the way they've limited Arsenal to very few big chances. Otavio lifted ball down the left channel. Wendell, the left back, will chase it down in the attacking third for Porto, but White will get there first. Goes across to Raya. It's now in the 18-yard box. Gabriel being closed down quickly by Conceição. Lifts it over his head to Kivior, and Arsenal can bring it forward on the far side. With a pass to Trossard. Tackle fairly by João Mario, who brings it forward for Porto. Still going, João Mario. What a run this is. João Mario tries to feed it into the runner, Conceição. Nowhere near him in the end, and it runs through for David Raya in the Arsenal goal. I think he just took it too far there, the right back, João Mario. He should have played the pass a bit earlier when it was a bit more available for him. Five minutes to go till the break. Arsenal currently still trailing on aggregate, as it's Ødegaard midway inside the Porto half, faking away from Pepe. Then out to the left here to Trossard in the final third, on his right foot, back across to Ødegaard, who will try and find a pass through for Trossard, and he finds him in the area. Trossard shoots it! And puts it into the bottom right corner. Arsenal have their equaliser on aggregate. They lead on the night. They have broken down this very resolute Porto defence. And it's Leandro Trossard with the goal. It's his third Champions League goal of the season. They've all come here at the Emirates. And that's the most important one so far for him in an Arsenal shirt. Pepe, the Porto captain, not happy. Arsenal went long, cut out by Wendell. It was picked up by Ødegaard in the centre of the park. Played it out to the left to Leandro Trossard. He returned it to Ødegaard. And then back to the Belgian once more. Played it through in behind the trailing leg of João Mario. Pepe tried to get across to cover, but couldn't quite get close enough to Trossard to block the shot. As the Belgian, with that right foot, in an ornery fashion, bent it into that far corner. It was low. It went underneath the goalkeeper. And Arsenal have a equaliser which they were wanting, and they've got it. It's Arsenal 1, Porto 0, 1-1 on aggregate. So 1-1 on aggregate. Their Porto defence was breached for one of the first times in the game. They've been pretty strong before that. But it just takes a bit of Ødegaard magic sometimes to nip that pass through. And it was a good finish by Leandro Trossard. He's now on 11 goals for the season in all competitions. He's not scored in any of his last 3 in the Premier League, but that's a very important one as Pepe plays it through down the right for Conceição for Porto. In the final third here, just holds up the ball, one-on-one with Kivior. Goes inside here, onto his left foot. Conceição from afar, he's going to let fly. Completely drags it, lacks all the conviction needed. And it's a goal kick for Arsenal. And Pepe, the attacking midfielder for Porto, has just stayed down there at the moment. As Pepe released it, it was just caught by Gabriel. Not a yellow for me. I don't think one was given. But that's a great pass from Ødegaard. Just in behind that trailing leg of João Mario. And Pepe couldn't get there quick enough. Went through his legs, actually. Then under the goalkeeper. And that'll definitely be a goal for Arsenal, which isn't just big for the fact that they're now level in the tie, but I think that will just settle any nervous energy that was building up in the stadium. And they'll have a second half to really go for it now, Arsenal. But they have got to be careful because Porto have showed slight glimpses of what they can do going forward. It'll be Raya to take this goal kick. Up towards Havertz, goes beyond him. And it'll be a free kick there. As Havertz went for the header, just trailing a right arm there, and it caught Nico Gonzalez slightly. I don't think he's been booked, as we're just less than a minute to go of the first 45. Arsenal lead by a goal to nil, and it was the real first breakthrough of the defence of Porto. Is the ball out to the left, headed into the area by Galeno. Headed away by Saliba. It will be a throw-in for Porto on this near side, who do seem to be causing Arsenal a couple of issues when going more direct. And they've sent the centre-backs forward here, and they're going to put a long throw-in into the box. Not their first of the game. They've tried this a couple times already. And it's Galeno, the supplier of the long throw. In it goes to the near post. Flicked on by Pepe. In the area. Will it fall for anyone? It's chested by Trossard, then cleared. And it will fall out for a Porto throw-in. As Pepe, the attacking midfielder for Porto, is stayed down as Rice and Otavio facing off here. And now he's facing off with Varela. Just needs to calm down. Rice telling Varela to watch himself. Very threatening words there from Declan Rice. Again, Pepe stayed down here, holding his right side. As that long throw-in went in, looks like he obviously was bundled to the ground and maybe caught. Let's have a look. The flick on from Pepe towards Pepe, who was actually kicked. He was kicked on his side by his own player. Nico Gonzalez has gone to volley the ball, but instead has volleyed his teammate and left him down injured. So just needed a bit. He's in pain here, Pepe, and it would do me a few favours if he came off, because having two Pepes on the pitch for the same team is a bit of a commentator's nightmare. But yeah, no penalty at all because he was booted by his own man. As we had a minute added on, we've already played over a minute, but obviously we'll have to continue a little bit longer with this stoppage at the moment. So Pepe is back to his feet, just slightly hobbling off, but hopefully for his sake he'll be able to continue. Porto's number 11. He's got 4 goals this season in all competitions. He got 5 in the entirety of last season. Has the 1 Champions League goal in his career, and that was this season away at Barcelona in a 2-1 defeat. As he's definitely feeling the contact there of this one. Long throwing for Porto down the line, headed forward by White. Havertz goes down over the challenge, I think, from Varela. And it'll be a free kick for Arsenal. Ball was there to be won. Yeah, a bit of a sandwich there. Havertz in the middle of it, and he was sandwiched in between Varela and Otavio. And I think between the two of them, they've fouled Havertz for the free kick. Havertz taking his time to get back to his feet. So it's just before the halfway line on the Arsenal right. Raya's come all the way forward to take this one. I think they're just going to launch this up towards the 18-yard box, as there isn't long left here as the ball's launched forward, and immediately the referee blows his whistle. Why on earth he didn't just blow his whistle as soon as Havertz went down, I don't know, but he's blown the whistle. Clement Turpin, and here at half-time, after the first half of the second leg here between Arsenal and Porto, it's 1-0 to the hosts. Leandro Trossard 5 minutes before the break, finishing delightfully into the bottom right corner with that right foot from the left-hand side after being played through with a defence-splitting pass from Ødegaard. And we're all square on aggregate, 1-1, with a final 45 minutes to play. And if it's all level, we'll get an extra half an hour, then the possibility of penalties. But I don't think Porto will be too disheartened with their performance there. They defended pretty strongly. The one time they were breached at the back, they were punished for it. But they've able to have had shots at goal at Arsenal, only one on target, but it forced a decent save from Raya when it was 0-0. They've found themselves in the Arsenal half a decent amount. They were dominating the possession in the opening 20 minutes or so, but that's changed ever so slightly. It's now Arsenal who've had more of the ball with 55% of possession. But I definitely don't think it's it's been as easy as maybe Arsenal would have thought. And in fairness, I don't know if they would have thought it was going to be an easy game after the first leg. I think they knew what they were coming up against. And Porto have not looked weak in the slightest at all. I've been impressed with their performance so far. Can play it on the floor, can play it long as well, going a bit more direct. But they are trailing on the night, but level on aggregate, so still all to play for here at the Emirates. As like I say, Arsenal have been eliminated from this competition in the last 16 for the last 7 times in a row. So it's a last 16 curse they've got, and it's half been lifted by Trossard with that goal to get them back level, but still a lot of work to do for Arsenal. As in the other last 16 tie being played tonight, Barcelona are 2-1 up at half-time. Lopez and Cancelo with 2 goals in 2 minutes to put them 3-1 up in aggregate, but then 1 pulled back for Napoli through Amir Rahmani. So still all to play for as well in that last 16 game as well. As a neutral, that was a great half. You can see Porto nicking this. Porto, I think the only thing with Porto is they just can't get drawn too far back in their own half, because obviously Arsenal will probably go for it a bit more in the second half. If Porto allow that to happen and they find themselves falling further back and becoming really deep, then I think that is when they'll struggle. But they're not doing that at the moment. When they're winning the ball, they're keeping it, or when they're going long, they're getting themselves up the pitch as quickly as possible, so they're not, camped in their own half and just got their backs against the wall. So, like I said, they've definitely showed signs of being able to score, if that is playing out and going on the floor or going a bit more direct and going longer up in the air. And that has seemed to have caused Arsenal a couple of issues at times when they have gone a bit more direct, Porto. That's not saying that Arsenal haven't won headers when the ball's gone long. It's where they're winning the headers. They're heading it out for throw-ins, or they're heading it straight to a Porto player who are winning the second balls. So this can go either way this second half, I think. I wouldn't write Porto out of it just yet. But then again, we spoke about at the start of the game how the start of the first half was important. And I think the start of the second half will be important as well. If Arsenal come out firing quickly, almost catch Porto a little bit cold after the break, then Arsenal could take the advantage and go in front. But at the start of the first half, Porto settled really well and made it hard for Arsenal. They didn't have many early chances, Arsenal. The chances started to arrive later on in the half, and Porto will want that to happen again. They'll want a quick start to the second half and try and just frustrate this Arsenal team and try and frustrate the crowd if possible. But it's a great time to score the equaliser on aggregate for Arsenal right before half-time to get the fans during this 15-minute break calm. They're not going to be nervous thinking about if they will be able to score, if they'll be able to break down the Porto defence. They don't need to think about that. They already know they can break down the defence. It's just about patience now, which will probably lead to the Arsenal crowd not falling into the trap of frustration. They'll probably keep positive to try and push this Arsenal side through, because they know that they can do it and get beyond this Porto defence. But the last time Arsenal won a last 16 tie in the Champions League was in fact against Porto, funnily enough. That was in the 2009-2010 season. But when these two sides have met here at the Emirates, they've met 3 previous times, and Arsenal have won by a combined score of 11-0. So they do usually beat Porto at this ground, but for Porto, they can be beaten and still go through tonight. If they're only beaten by 1 goal, they can force extra time and then the possibility of penalties. But Porto have got a horrid away record away in England. They have won just one of 23 away games in England in European competition. And the one win they picked up was against Chelsea in April 2021. It was a win that didn't take them any further in the competition because they were 2-0 down from the first leg. But the funny thing about beating Chelsea was that game was played in Spain. Because of COVID, they had to play in neutral countries. Seems a long time ago now. So the one time they have beaten English opposition in European competition, they weren't even playing in England. They were having to play in Spain. But yeah, out of those 23 away games they've played against English opposition, or being classed as the away team, because obviously that game in Spain they weren't technically away, they were in a neutral ground, and they've lost 19 of those 23, so they do usually fall to defeat when they play English sides away from home. But as mentioned, they don't need to win tonight, they don't even need to draw, they can go through by being defeated, but of course Porto would rather do it the easier way and nick a draw and go through with that goal they scored at home. What teams would you like to see in the final? I'm not too sure. I think it would be nice to see Arsenal in the quarterfinals. I just would like to see how they handle it, because obviously last season they struggled to handle the pressure of the title race. So it'd just be interesting to see how they deal with playing in the latter stages of Europe. Of course, you'd just like to see Real Madrid do well because they're such an iconic club and they usually bring some classic Champions League games. I'm not too fussy about who I want to see in the final. I think we've got every team who's left or looks like are going through. I've got real quality. We've already got Bayern Munich through, PSG, Real Madrid, Manchester City. Arsenal could go through, Barcelona. We could have Inter Milan or Atletico Madrid. So whatever quarterfinals we get, then whatever semi-finals we get, then onto the final, there should be cracking games. So I don't really know who I'd want to see in the final. I don't think I'd mind. I think any combination of two teams that are already left or have gone through to the quarterfinals already, I think would make a really good final. It's definitely going to be interesting, this Champions League, and I'm really looking forward to the upcoming games in the quarterfinals that we'll have coming up in April. But we are just a couple of minutes away here from the start of the second half, as Arsenal have just calmed the nerves down at the Emirates with that goal before the break, but Porto still well within the game, level on aggregate as it stands. 2 Champions League trophies for Porto. Their last in 2004, and the first one they won was back in 1987. So a little bit of pedigree in the competition. Arsenal have never won it before. Just the one final they've reached in 2006. But just to go through Arsenal's exits in this competition, like we already know, they have been knocked out at this stage for the last 7 occasions, but they were beaten by Bayern Munich in the last 16 tie they were involved in 2017. Then in 2016 they were knocked out by Barcelona, and then Monaco, and then Bayern Munich 2 times in a row from 2012 to 2014, and then they were beaten by AC Milan in 2012, Barcelona again in 2011. So when you look at it like that, they are quite big teams to come up against in the last 16, clearly showing that Arsenal probably weren't finishing top of their groups, hence why they were coming up against tougher opposition in the last 16. But finishing top of their group this time around has treated them to a easier tie, but it is being made hard for them by Porto, who are really battling out there. And they look really settled, Porto, I thought. Didn't look nervy, didn't look scared of the occasion. And I think that made it difficult for Arsenal to really get a flow in the game. extra time. That I would like extra time if I'm going to be picky. Really make the Arsenal fans suffer and become really nervy, and yeah, I think that'd be a good watch on the fan channels. See them all stressing out. But here at the Emirates, like I say, they've not had nights like these for a while. Mentioned it at the start, but it has been 2,562 days since they last played a Champions League last 16 game here at the Emirates in that 5-1 defeat to Bayern Munich when they were managed by Arsene Wenger. And the squad is completely different, and the club vibe is also completely different in a positive way, which is all down to Mikel Arteta and the way he's got his Arsenal team playing. So close to the league title last season, finishing on 84 points, but picking up 6 points from a possible 15 in April, which derailed their title ambitions. But they're top of the league at the moment, 64 points, ahead of Liverpool on goal difference and the 1 point above Manchester City. And their next game is Manchester City in the league at the Etihad Stadium. They don't have a game in the weekend due to being knocked out of the FA Cup by Liverpool, and they don't have a league game to fill in. So they've got quite a lot of time until their next game. Yes, there is an international break within that, but at the same time, it's still a lot of time for Arteta himself and his coaching staff to prepare for the game tactically, even if he won't have his players there to work on the stuff straight away. Trossard with the goal for Arsenal in his first Champions League campaign of his career for the 29-year-old. Brought in for £27 million in January of last year. But seems to have been a great addition into this Arsenal side. This Arsenal crowd, I guarantee, will begin to get nervous if this clock keeps ticking and the scoreline remains as it is at the moment. I think for Arsenal, it's getting the balance right of not over-committing to getting the lead on the aggregate scoreline, but also realising that they will have to go for it at some point. Because they probably do have the better quality team, but it's not always down to quality in football. Such fine margins, anything can go against you and it can turn the game on its head. Two losses for Arsenal in their last 10 in all competitions, against Porto and then against Liverpool in that FA Cup game as well. So Arsenal are back out in a team huddle to the right side of the pitch. I think we're still waiting for Porto. I'm not too sure. Can't quite see at the moment. Still waiting to see if Porto are back out, as Arsenal are still in their team huddle. Last few words from their captain, Martin Ødegaard. As we remain, Porto still not back out yet for the second half, as we've got the referee ready. And they are waiting in the tunnel at the moment, Porto. Starting their tactics of slowing the game down before it's even begun. Taking their time. And eventually they are returning back to the field of play for the second half of this last 16 tie, where Arsenal are looking to reach the quarter-final stage for the first time since 2010. So it'll be Arsenal to kick off, kicking right to left. Porto left to right, towards their end where the Porto fans are situated. Just in front, just behind the corner flag on the far side. So there's work for Arsenal to do. Concentration for Porto to keep. And we're waiting for the referee's whistle here. And we get the referee's whistle. Back to Raya. Clears it long for Arsenal. It's cleared by the left back for Porto. Wendell deflects off Saka and goes beyond everyone for a Porto throw-in on the far side. There is Mikel Arteta taking charge of his 219th game as Arsenal manager. Porto try and play it down the left. It's Galeno inside here to Evanilson. Then back through for Galeno in the final third towards the byline. He'll keep it in. He'll cross it low. Evanilson will get there. Takes a touch away from goal. And tackled by Gabriel. Just about keeps it away from Arsenal's number 6. Back out to the left here to Galeno. 1-on-1 with Saliba. Onto his right foot. Trying to get a cross in here, Galeno. Saliba is sticking tight to him. Galeno eventually works space for a cross. Comes off the head of Rice. Volleyed unconvincingly by Saka. Still available for Porto. Out to the far side here to Galeno. Back to the halfway line to Otavio. And then forced back through the press of Ødegaard to the goalkeeper of Costa. Pepe. Into the other Pepe. It's now Conceição. It's in the centre circle with Wendell, the left back. Who's looking out to the far side for the next pass. Playing the ball into Galeno. It's now Porto on the ball. 90 seconds into the second half. And they've settled right back in the game, the away team. Something they had to do. And they've done it quickly. Costa. To this near side to the captain Pepe. Back into the 18-yard box to the goalkeeper Costa. He's been closed down by Havertz. Goes out to the left to Otavio. Who needs to clear it. Chops beyond Ødegaard instead. It's risky defending, but it's great when it comes off because his ball forward can't be stuck to Galeno. And it's a foul on Jorginho. Free kick for Arsenal on the right-hand side, just inside the Porto half. Jorginho was the one brought to the floor. It's going to be left for Saliba to take it. Goes back to the halfway line here to Gabriel. High ball out to the right, looking for White. Straight beyond him and out for a throw-in. Poor ball there by Gabriel. Usually a lot more consistent than that with his passing. As Porto work it out to the near side here to Conceição. Quite a bit of time on the ball. Eventually Kivior gets close to him. But Conceição will go round him and square it in the box. It deflects up. Overhead kick, that is. Asking a lot of himself there by Evanilson. And if that had come off, that would have been some attempt. As Evanilson stays down for Porto. Conceição given just a bit too much time on the ball on the right flank. And once Kivior got close, it was too late. He'd gone around him already. And Conceição, as the ball deflected up in the air, went for the audacious overhead kick. But was never going to trouble David Raya in the Arsenal goal. Evanilson stayed down here after the overhead kick. Almost looks like he winded himself, maybe. As the medical team's on to treat him. I don't think Arsenal are happy with the fact that he's gone down after that. There is Sergio Conceição, the manager. Been in charge of Porto since July 2017. This is his 364th game in charge, only losing 52, which I think is a pretty impressive record. He's only failed to win 100 of the 364 games he's previously took charge of. As we're back underway, Evanilson just on the touchline, waiting to be recalled back onto the field of play. As it's Ben White in a right centre-back position. It's now with Gabriel just inside the Arsenal half. Evanilson's back onto the pitch. Up front for Porto. White, who seems to be coming into midfield as an inverted full-back here. adding an extra body into the centre of the park as Gabriel goes over the top and looking for Trossard. Overhit, straight out of play for a goal kick. Passing needs to be better than that from Arsenal if they want to hurt this Porto defence. But in the league, Porto are doing rather well in terms of recent form. 1 defeat in the last 11, winning 7 and drawing 3, including a 5-0 win against Benfica a week or 2 ago. As Porto have it with Pepe into Gonzalez in the midfield, poked away from him by Jorginho, but flicked out to the right by Varela. And Porto can come into the Arsenal half here with João Mauro, the fullback. Now into Conceição, running at Kivior again, wants to get it onto his left foot, can't do so. And Kivior lets it run for a goal kick. Last touch, in fact, came off the Porto winger. Had a real run in the side most recently, Jakub Kivior. 5 starts in a row in the league for him. And started the last 2 Champions League games, including that first leg away at Porto. As it's just in the Arsenal defensive third here, with Gabriel back to Raya. Ball goes forward, high, out to the right-hand side towards Saka, headed away by Otavio. It'll drop for Wendell, who heads it into Pepe. And it's Porto still on the ball in their 18-yard box with the goalkeeper of Diogo Costa. Just 24 years of age, the goalkeeper, but has 145 appearances now for Porto. As the ball goes long, flicked on by Galeno, couldn't be won by Evanilson ahead of Saliba. And it's Arsenal back on the ball on the far side with Saliba again, getting the ball returned to him by the goalkeeper Raya. Forward by Saliba, it's loose, can't find Jorginho, picked up for Porto, but they can't keep it. Ball goes in behind Arsenal's defence. Kivior will get there first, chops beyond Conceição very calmly. It goes forward to Rice. Back to Kivior in a left-back position. Lifts it through for the run of Rice. Won't get there ahead of Pepe, who will keep the ball for Porto. Trying to turn and clear it. Goes down over the challenge of Rice. Nothing given. Rice takes the throw-in quickly. Otavio has to cover and covers very well. Out it goes for a throw-in for Arsenal. Was definitely looking for the free kick there, Pepe, as he was being surrounded by Ødegaard and Rice and really had nowhere to go. As Ødegaard in the left wing position towards the corner flag now. He's got Pepe, the attacking midfielder, on his back. Ødegaard keeps it for the moment, but then he's tackled fairly by Pepe. Cleared down the line by Mario. Straight through for Gabriel on the halfway line, but Porto just calming it down slightly there, getting the ball away from their goal. As Jorginho goes in behind for Trossard. Can't be kept in. Goal kick for the away team. Both of these sides have lost the same amount of games this season in all competitions. Both losing 8. And that Trossard goal for Arsenal is their 90th of the season in all competitions. There's Otavio in the corner flag on the far side, clears it. It's not very convincing, but thankfully for him, falls to a Porto player of Evanilson, who can get it out to the right back of João Mario into the Arsenal half of a pass to Conceição. He's got the overlap of João Mario, goes on the inside instead onto his strong left foot, but plays it back to the halfway line to Pepe. It's now in the centre circle with Varela. Goes 10 yards to his left to Otavio, towards the far side. Ball over the top, it's a bit overhit there, straight into the gloves of Raya, who is looking for Wendell, the left back. He throws it quickly to Rice, who just about keeps it away from Varela. Finds Kivior. It goes into the centre of the park here to Jorginho. High ball out to the right for Saka. We'll keep it in with the chested touch. And Saka slows it down midway inside the Porto half. Saka goes to his left to Jorginho. Turns straight into Evanilson. No foul given against him. Good decision from the referee as Porto can't attack quickly enough. They lose the ball with Kivior intercepting. And Trossard caught there by Conceição. And that is a free kick for Arsenal on this near side. Just completely took out his left leg there, Conceição. Jorginho went down, but he was tackled fairly for me. Just took too long on the ball and turned into Evanilson. Looks like the referee won't be conned into giving any cheap free kicks. Jorginho's back to his feet here and we're back underway. With Gabriel in the Porto half for Arsenal. Into Jorginho. Out to the right here to White. He's got Saka in front of him, finds him. Everything to his left for the Arsenal, number 7. Saka Back into White on the edge of the area. Left-footed ball into the box. It's a lifted one up towards Rice. Headed away by Jean-Mario and then volleyed away eventually for Porto, but only as far as Saliba, who lifts it out to the right. Cut out by Wendell. Porto want to attack. Wendell getting beyond one challenge, but then can't get away from the captain, Ødegaard. And that'll be a free kick for Arsenal as Ødegaard won it back. He was then pulled by Wendell. And a free kick given on halfway for the home team. And they're already playing once again. But the last time these two sides met was at the Emirates in that last 16 tie in 2010. And Arsenal won by 5-0. And Nicholas Bentner hat-trick, alongside goals from Nasri and Aboué, as Arsenal have already lost the ball trying to go forward with it into the goalkeeper here of Diogo Costa. He's still on the ball and he kicks it straight off Havertz, deflects up and away to Rice, and eventually cleared by Wendell, and across the pitch it goes towards his full-back partner of Jean-Mario, who can't keep it in, thrown for Arsenal in the final third. That was a horrendous clearance there by the goalkeeper Costa with his left foot. As Kivior throws it into the area, controlled by Trossard, who's surrounded by blue and white shirts. Last touch comes off the Porto man. It's a corner kick given, despite the protests of the Porto defenders there. Arsenal have got the decision their way. So it's Declan Rice over this corner on the near side. Right-footed in swinger. Can Arsenal get ahead in this tie on aggregate? Left arm is raised. Cross goes in to the near post. It's a header. It's a header well won there by Otavio. Back to Rice, who goes across to Ødegaard on the edge of the box. Back out to Rice in the left wing position. 1-on-1 with Conceição. He puts the ball in Rice. It's a dangerous one. Header won by Pepe. Straight out to Arsenal's Jorginho. And Arsenal are back on the ball in the Porto half. On the far side with Saka. 1-on-1 with Pepe. Through for Havertz towards the byline. In the box. Needs to pull back to get it right. He lifts it towards Rice, who strikes it towards goal. Quite an easy block in the end there for Pepe. That's going to be out for a Arsenal throw-in as they try and continue this pressure. Headed away by Jean-Mario, out for another throw-in for Arsenal. Thrown quickly by Kivior to Trossard, who kicks it off Jean-Mario. Another throw-in in the final third for Arsenal as Trossard gets the home fans going, as they can almost smell blood here against this Porto side. We're struggling to get out their own half. It's actually gone for a corner. I thought it went for a throw-in, but it's gone for a corner kick instead, which will be more to the taste of Arsenal. So it's going to be Rice to take again. They have profited from so many set pieces as of late. Can they do it again? In it goes, on towards the goalkeeper who punches. Saka wants to keep it alive, but eventually cleared on the penalty spot by Evan Nilsson. And out for a throw-in for Arsenal on the opposite side now. Still in the final third, so the pressure is still well and truly on. White with the throw-in. There's plenty of bodies in the box for Arsenal if they want to go a little bit longer with the throw. Thrown into the area towards Ødegaard, who controls it on the byline, but it's hooked away from him there by Varela. And it'll be another Ben White throwing exactly in the same spot as he took the last one. Almost caught Porto out there with the Ødegaard run in behind from the throw-in. Thrown back here to Saliba. So now to Gabriel, who's furthest back for Arsenal. Forward it goes for White, and he finds him well. White tries to play it through towards Ødegaard. Bounces off Wendell. Another throw-in for Arsenal. Just feel like the goal is to come very shortly. Seems like only a matter of time. Saliba. the option backwards as White was hesitating with a throw-in to go forwards. Eventually finds Jorginho, who can keep himself away at the moment from Varela. He's got Galeno, who can kick it out of play for a throw-in. So, still well inside the Porto half here. Ben White wants a quick throw. Can't take it quickly because there's no real option on for him at the moment. Still White with the ball in his hands. Throws it into Jorginho. Lifts it into the box for Saka, who's coming back from an offside position. And the momentum dies down for Arsenal as it's a free kick for Porto with half an hour to play. So Porto will go long here. Into the Arsenal half, towards the Porto left. It's a free header for Saliba, controlled by Saka on halfway. Forward, can't find Havertz, cut out by Varela. It's now Wendell. Galeno making a running behind. He's going to try and play him through, but it's cut out by Ben White. And Arsenal will try and get it forward quickly as Jorginho's caught from behind. And Evan Nilsson is the guilty party for Porto. And it's a free kick for Arsenal inside their own half on the far side. Something rather funny that I've just read and I didn't realise. Pepe and Arteta are the same age at 41. In fact, Arteta is younger by just about a month, which is rather comical as Arteta retired in 2016. As it's Porto on the ball. It's with Evan Nilsson, who's just come to this near side, been a bit of a deeper role at the moment, and goes into his own half to keep the ball with Pepe, the centre-back. Forward into Varela, and across to the left-hand side here to Otavio. It's now Wendell at left-back. He's got Saka in front of him. Forced to go backwards here to Otavio. Then into the 18-yard box with the goalkeeper, Costa. Good pressing here from Arsenal as Costa's ball finds João Mario, the right-back. Skips away, nearly skipped away from the challenger Havertz, just tripped by the German. And that'll be a free kick for Porto, and they take it quickly. The ball goes forward here to Pepe, striding forward with the ball here, playing it to his right towards Galeno, who has been brought down by Kivior. And a goal kick has been given, or is it a free kick? I think he's given the free kick for Porto. A late challenge from Kivior. Just caught Galeno, who got there ahead of the Polish fullback. And it is right on the edge of the box, on the right side. So, the angle isn't amazing for a shot. But I'm sure a left footer will try and take this on. The left-footed option would more unlikely be Francisco Conceição, the son of the manager of Porto, Sergio Conceição. And it looks like it will be him to either have a go or cross. I think the more reasonable option is to cross, but the shot is on. It's a three-man Arsenal wall. They have got a right-footed option of João Mario if needed. It will be Conceição to take it. He shoots towards the far corner, and that is rising high. That is a shocker from Conceição. And Arsenal go quickly, and they go long, and it's volleyed away by Wendell on the halfway line, but straight to Ødegaard, who's gone over the top to Saka. He's onside. Can he keep the ball in? He can. 1-on-1 Otavio. Onto his left foot. Plays it across to Ødegaard. Back through for Saka. Tackled by Varela. Cleared. Up to the halfway line for Porto. And it will reach Gabriel for Arsenal. As the clock keeps ticking, we're about to hit the 64th minute of play. And Arsenal have just got the one goal tonight. Jorginho, midway inside the Porto half, out to the far side here to Saliba, who's got forward from centre-back. White inside, nowhere near a red and white shirt, picked up by Gonzalez to Galeno on the left wing. Kicks it off Saliba, but kept in by White. And that is going to be Arsenal's possession. With Jorginho going backwards, and it only finds Conceição, who's drifted out to the Porto left. Tripped by Ødegaard. Play continues as Galeno tried to play it through for Evan Nilsson. But it's a vital block And Arsenal survive. That was a poor giveaway, that from Jorginho, who's better than that. But Arsenal can break away with Rice. Out to the left here to Trossard. Everything to his right for the Belgian, who's already on the score she wants. Can he be the assister this time? As the cross to the edge of the area is volleyed by Gonzalez. But only as far as Kivior. And Jorginho flicks out to the right to Ødegaard. Nods it down for White. And Arsenal once again in possession in the Porto half. Ødegaard takes it off the toes of Jorginho. Looking out to the Arsenal right here, the Norwegian. Ødegaard forward for White. Kicked away by Wendell. And that'll be another throw in here for Arsenal in the final third. White takes the throw to Jorginho in the corner of the box on the right-hand side. He's gone backwards to Gabriel to keep possession. Saliba now into White. Scoops it into Saka, who can try and turn Wendell. But he's tackled, and then he pulls down Galeno. And the free kick goes against Saka. And that'll be a free kick for Porto. Saka pleading his innocence there. But it looks like he just pulled the arm there of Galeno, as he did well to get in towards the box there, Saka. Just a bit too aggressive with the pull. It does look like those nerves are starting to slowly creep into these Arsenal supporters, who aren't used to situations like this in very recent times. As they have a throw in midway side their own half, far side, White with it, waiting for a bit of movement. Still White with it, still not taken the throw in yet. Eventually finds Saka, returns it to White, first time ball over the top for Havertz, who's got Pepe to battle with. Pepe will get there in the box ahead of Havertz, but kicks it only as far as Ødegaard, who chips it over the goalkeeper. It's an almighty mess from Porto. An Arsenal lead with Martin Ødegaard with the goal. And in fact, it's not been given. The referee has blown and given a foul and a free kick for Porto. It will be checked by VAR. Such a simple ball over the top for Arsenal, with Havertz battling with Pepe, who never looks sure of how to deal with it, even with such experience. And I don't know where the referee's seen a foul there. Pepe gets the cross Havertz. Oh, he's got to pull the shirt. I think that's why he's give it. Why is he pulling his shirt? I just don't know why. It's well seen by the referee. Havertz yanking at the shirt of Pepe and pulls him down. And I think we're going to get some bookings here for Arsenal's coaching team, who were adamant that wasn't the right decision from the referee. And I think it's Arteta in the book. Good spot from the ref, because I didn't see that. Yeah, quite animated, the Arsenal coaching staff, when that goal was disallowed, but it's the right decision. Arteta was indicating for VAR to be used there, hence why he's been picked up the yellow card, but not quite it for Arsenal yet. Oh, Pepe was in such a mess there. His goalkeeper came for it, but Pepe decided to clear on his own, but it was a kick straight to Ødegaard, who just inside the area dinked it over the pile of bodies on the floor. As Costa was on the floor, Pepe was on the floor due to being pulled down by Havertz. And it remains 1-0 on the night. Just silly from Havertz. I don't know why he's had to pull him down there. I'm not too sure. But the referee saw it and he's given a free kick. It was well seen. And Arsenal still search for that goal to put them ahead. It's an Arsenal throw-in on this near side with Kivior just inside their own half in front of the Porto technical area. Still not taking it here, Kivior. They're taking a while with the throw-ins, Arsenal. It goes a bit long this time. Headed forward by Jean Mario. Then headed forward again for Porto by Gonzalez. Volleyed forward by Gabriel. Nodded down by Havertz to Ødegaard. Out to the right here to Saka. White is overlapping. Saka will play it to him and it's cut out by Wendell. Brilliant defending from the left-back. Porto want to counter. Gonzalez. Forward here to Conceição. He's in the central area. They've got bodies over here, Porto. This is a big chance. Conceição. He's got Galeno to his left. He'll go on his own. It's a fair strike. It's parried, and the block from Kivior is vital. The flag's up. But that is an almighty chance there for Porto on the break. Conceição causing issues when he drifts over from the right-hand side into those more central areas. He was running straight towards goal. He wasn't being closed down by Gabriel. And as his shot was taken, Evanilson was in an offside position as he tried to get the rebound. But Conceição's strike was hit with power, but the accuracy was avoiding that from being a Porto goal. It's Porto camped in the Arsenal half on the ball at the moment with the left centre-back of Otavio. Down the line for Wendell. Back into Otavio. 20 minutes left to play here. We're still all square on aggregate. 1-1. Goals from Galeno in the first leg and a goal from Trossard here in the second. As they go back to the goalkeeper midway side of the Porto half here with Costa. Out to the right to Pepe, the centre-back. Who's looking up to find his next pass. He's been forced to go backwards here to Costa. Quite interesting, we've not had a substitute yet for either side. Otavio, the left centre-back, just keeps it in on that far side and clears it long. It's a high one. It's a header won by White towards Saka. Comes off the top of the head of Rice instead. And it's flicked away by Gonzalez, who's caught by Jorginho as he went for the ball. And that is going to be a free kick for Porto inside their own half. It's going to be taken either by Otavio or Costa for Porto. It's Otavio on the ball. Back to the goalkeeper of Costa. Ødegaard pressing quickly, but he can move it on to Pepe at right centre-back, who clears it down the line. Up towards Conceição, headed forward by Kivior. Helped on by Gabriel. Rice will chase it. Hooked away by Varela. Brought down, or headed on by Pepe. And then once more by Evanilson. Can't be kept alive by Conceição. Pepe goes in on Havertz. And that's going to be a yellow card on Pepe, who seems to have caught Havertz as they both went for the ball aerially. No, not for me at all. No way. I think the referee's seen something different to what actually happened there. The elbows weren't even near Havertz's head or shoulder. It's more gone into to not even use the elbow really at all there, Pepe. I think that's the bad decision from the referee. And it's just on the near side, this free kick. It's about 15 yards in front of the halfway line, so it's quite far out, but it's a chance for Arsenal to launch this in the box if they want. So it'll be Ødegaard to launch this in with his left foot. He goes down the line instead to Trossard in the final third. Onto his right foot, time for a cross. In it goes. Saliba wins the header, but it's always going wide. Won the header about 8 yards out. Slightly off balance as he won the header as well. Got up above Otavio, but it hit the top of his head and couldn't quite find the direction to get it on target, unfortunately, for Arsenal there. As the possession is pretty equal, 51% for Arsenal, 49% for Porto, which showcases how Porto have been in this game and they've been rather settled in it as well. As Pepe, the attacker for Porto, gives it away to Gabriel, who's on tight with him, and he shrugs him off the ball. Gabriel somehow still has it beyond the absolute bombardment of blue and white shirts, but eventually Arsenal lose it on the edge of the box to Pepe, who turns away from Havertz. It's now back to Diogo Costa, just outside the 18-yard box. He clears it long. It's a high ball, but the referee stopped the game as Gabriel's down here for Arsenal. Not a sight that the home side want to see. He just went on a marauding run there, Gabriel, as he won the ball off Pepe. And then shrugged him to the ground and then took on one. And then a third Porto player just slightly caught him in Conceição. So Gabriel just sat on the floor, but not receiving any treatment at the moment here. Arsenal's number 6. But this is the moments where it starts to get nervy, when the goal isn't arriving. So it'll be a drop ball for Porto with their goalkeeper Costa. Gabriel at the moment will be okay to continue as we've got 15 minutes left of the 90 minutes here. Down the line it goes for Porto. Can't be kept in on the near side by Evan Nilsson. Throwing for Arsenal inside their own half. Still no changes yet from both teams. Just like looks like not one of them wants to blink first. Trossard gives it back to Kivior. First time ball forward. Cut out by Pepe. Into João Mario, lifts it down the Porto right, kept in by Evan Nilsson. Pepe loses out to Kivior. Loose ball drops here for Gonzalez. It's now Evan Nilsson in a right wing position. He's been pulled there by Jorginho. And that'll be a free kick for Porto just inside the Arsenal half on the near side. Not sure where he's given the free kick there, to be honest. Evan Nilsson was asking for a yellow, but I thought that was a bit soft. There wasn't real contact on him. But the referee gave it, and Porto have gone backwards to their goalkeeper Costa on the edge of the box. The long ball forward. It's direct, and it's directly to no one in a Porto shirt, straight through to the opposite goalkeeper of David Raya. Just a waste from Porto. Something they can't be doing at this point in the game. Just can't be gifting the ball back to Arsenal. As Raya in the 18-yard box needs to clear it. Does do so ahead of the pressing Evan Nilsson. Looks for Saka on the right wing, who does flick the ball on with his head straight to Otavio, who can beat Havertz to it and plays it down the Porto left. It's cut out by White, who plays it forward to Saka just beyond the halfway line. Saka looking for his next pass, goes back to White on halfway, then forward again to Saka, who will get there ahead of Gonzalez, and then inside to Ødegaard. Curls it out to the left, gets beyond Conceição, but not away from João Mario. Strong defending from the right back, who plays it down the line into the space here for Pepe, who's getting away here for Porto down the right-hand side. In the final third, early ball across to the edge of the box, controlled by Evan Nilsson, who's been held by Saliba, but no free kick given. That is shocking decision-making from the referee, and Arsenal go quickly towards Saka, who's been brought down very, very strongly, but fairly, according to the referee, by Otavio. As it does seem like this game's starting to get a little bit more aggressive. A little bit more edge to it as we get towards the end of the game. I just can't believe Saliba's allowed to have two arms around him. That's why I thought it was a free kick. And certainly did Sergio Conceição, the Porto manager. He is baffled and he's outraged that that wasn't given as a foul, and he's been booked for his reaction. And he's still not happy, the 49-year-old. Former right winger in his playing days, just like his son, Francisco, who's on at the moment. Ødegaard, tackle from behind by Gonzalez, nothing given, but the Porto clearance falls to Jorginho, who's becoming a right winger there, with a few step overs, and then fouled by Wendell, and that'll be a free kick for Arsenal, as he's got a Champions League trophy tattooed on the back of his right arm there, Jorginho. He was actually brought down twice, really. First time by Varela, and then by Wendell. As Saka lifts it to the edge of the box, headed away by Conceição. It will drop to Pepe, the attacking midfielder, who brings it forward for Porto. Finds Evan Nilsson, but then Jorginho brought him down in the centre circle. And is that not a yellow card? I'm surprised. Another rather tactical foul from Jorginho to break up the play. Pepe just poked the ball away from Jorginho as he slid in. Just about making his way back to his feet now, Pepe. Still no changes. I'm absolutely gobsmacked. I know it's a very tight game, so making a change could be risky because the player coming on needs to get into the speed of the game and the flow almost instantly, but not even to get fresh legs on. I'm surprised at the moment. Porto work it back to the edge of their box with the goalkeeper Costa. Long he goes down the Porto right, looking for João Mario, who will get there ahead of Kivior towards the byline. He needs to get the cross in. He can't do so. Runs out of room. And that'll be an Arsenal goal kick. They want to take it as quickly as possible. Raya hesitates. And it's not taken as quickly as he could have. And eventually goes short here to Saliba. It's now to Jorginho on the edge of the box, who's got loads of time on the ball. Jorginho plays it to the left there to Rice. Kivior inside to Jorginho. It's a bit of a loose pass, but kept alive by the Italian. Then Rice tripped by Conceição. And that'll be a free kick for Arsenal, just inside their own half on the near side. Kivior takes quickly. Just starting to, yes, you can feel the fire in this game. Just rise, the heat levels. Feel like it could explode at any moment. Saliba across to Gabriel on the edge of the 18-yard box. Finds Raya. Being closed down here by Evan Nilsson. Raya still has it. Finds Saliba. Cuts inside away from Galeno. Finds White in an inverted role. And then first time ball over the top of the Porto defence. Comes off the head of Wendell, who heads backwards to Otavio. Then heads back once more to the goalkeeper of Costa, who has the choice to pick up if needed. Still on the ball here, Costa. Who knows he can pick it up if he needs to. As he eventually does. As Havertz was slowly getting up close towards him. And long he goes. Out towards the Porto left this time. White wins the header. Controlled by Saka. Back to Saliba, who hooks away. First time. And then headed on by Rice. Havertz caught by Pepe, who needs to be careful on a booking. But there's an offside flag, which I think is rather fortunate for Pepe, because that was a late one on Havertz. And it looks like we're going to get a change here. And it's going to be for Arsenal. And it looks like they're readying up Gabriel Jesus, who's searching for his 20th Arsenal goal. He's since joining at the start of last season. Porto on the halfway line. At the right back with Jean-Mario. It's now into Pepe, the centre-back. He goes long, looking for Evan Nilsson. Header won by Gabriel, but it's miscued, out of play. Throwing for Porto. Mentioned that before, but it just seems like they struggle to clear the ball, Arsenal, from the long balls with the headers. They just seem to go wide and just not to a red shirt. It's now back on the edge of the Porto box here with the goalkeeper Costa. Out to the right to João Mario, straight over his head. Throwing for Arsenal, midway side the Porto half on this near side. And they're going to take off Jorginho for Gabriel Jesus. Could that be a risk that turns into a reward for Arsenal? That could maybe backfire. But they're going to go for it. So Jesus on. There's the long throw. Squared by Trossard in the box. Finds Otavio, who needs to get rid. Deflects off Jesus. Played forward by White. Ødegaard on the edge of the area. Hooks it forward here for Saka. Back to Ødegaard on the edge of the box. Nutmegs one. Tackle by a second. Porto need to get rid. Otavio deflects off Saka. Jesus off the bench, and it's deflected wide by the goalkeeper. What an introduction that would have been for Gabriel Jesus. As it was a rather fortunate way he got through to him. And it wasn't far. Off his right thigh and behind. Big save. It's going to be a left-footed in-swinger from Saka on the far side. Arsenal still searching for a winner. Saka crosses into the 6-yard box. Header won there by, I think, Galeno, but there was a foul in there anyway on a Porto player by Gabriel Jesus. So free kick for Porto. So close for Jesus, straight off the bench, who's got an unbelievable Champions League record. He's got 24 Champions League goals in 43 appearances in the competition. He's got 4 goals in this season's Champions League, all in the group stages. Scored against all 3 oppositions in that group stage. How do we see this game going? If you want to put it in the chat, you can do. Do we see Arsenal winning this as Jesus works it to Ødegaard? He's got options left and right. Finds Saka on the right corner of the box. Gets onto his left foot. Parried by Costa. Ødegaard on the rebound. And wide it goes. They are not just knocking on this door, Arsenal. They're slamming at it, trying to break it down. But Costa in the Porto goal's not letting the goal happen. poor goalkeeping in fairness. The shot from Saka was quite central in the end, and somehow the goalkeeper's just parried it straight forward to Ødegaard, who, if he works it on target to the bottom right corner, I think the Porto goalkeeper's struggling. But wide it went from the former Real Madrid man. And we're going to get the first Porto change of the game with 5 minutes to go. Jean-Mario, the right back, will be replaced by another right back, and that is Jorge Sanchez, the Mexican, who's on loan from Ajax this season. He's come off the bench 5 times now in this season's Champions League campaign. So some fresh legs at right back for Porto as they are close to extra time here. Otavio clears long for Porto as Barcelona score a third. They're 4-2 up on aggregate. It's Napoli. So it looks like Barcelona are through to the last 8. As it's Porto on the ball on the far side here with Gonzalez, former Barcelona man himself. Playing it backwards, straight to Jesus. Just sloppy midfield play there from Nico Gonzalez. That's now on the edge of the 18-yard box with Kivior for Arsenal. Forward to the goal scorer Trossard, who goes back himself here to Gabriel. It's now into the centre of the midfield here to Rice. In a lot of space in the Arsenal half. Looking out to the Arsenal right. Wanting to bring Saka into play, and he finds him. Beautiful ball from Rice. Saka has it, running at Wendell. He's got White overlapping in support. Saka doesn't use him. Goes across instead to Ødegaard. Through for Trossard as it deflects away from him and behind for a corner for Arsenal. Plenty of opportunities late on, but they're not hitting the back of the net. They had a goal disallowed for a foul with around 20 minutes to play. Martin Ødegaard had it in the net, but Havertz pulled down Pepe in the build-up, and a foul was given. So it'll be Saka to take. The majority of the Arsenal players are situated at the back post here. Havertz goes down. Saka delivers straight into the hands of Costa. And Porto could break. Costa's going to kick it out of his hands quickly. It's Pepe marauding forward. His touch isn't great. It sends him wide, but he's tackled by Rice. Thrown for Porto. That needed to be a good tackle there. As we're going to get another Porto change. Number 30, Evan Nilsson, who's been scoring all the goals this season for Porto. 21 altogether in all competitions. He'll be replaced by Mehdi Taremi, the Iranian striker who's out of contract at the end of the season, looking likely he's going to move to Inter Milan. He's not scored as many goals this season as he did last. He got 31 goals in all competitions last season, Taremi. This time around, he's just got the 6. He has missed the last 4 games injured, including that first leg to Arsenal. But he has scored twice in this season's Champions League, home and away to Shakhtar Donetsk. He is a striker who can score goals. He has scored against English opposition before. He scored an unbelievable overhead kick against Chelsea in their quarter-final back in 2021. It was only consolation in the end at the end of the game, but it was a beautiful goal. Porto throw long into the box, flicked on and cleared by Rice. It drops to Saka on the edge of the area, who's brought down by the tackle of Galeno. And that'll be a free kick for Arsenal, won by Bukayo Saka. Switched out to the left here for Trossard. He does keep it in with the header towards Sanchez, who beats Havertz to it. Loose ball drops it, deflects off Taremi. And it's now with the right back Sanchez for Porto. Into the goalkeeper of Costa. Clears it first time, taking no prisoners with that one. And it's headed into the sky by Saliba. Then headed forward by Gonzalez. Straight to Saliba, who plays it forward with his left foot. Pepe heads away. All as far as Havertz, who heads forward. And then another header one. Head tennis at the moment as Gabriel kicks it forward. And he catches Taremi late. And that'll be a free kick for Porto as we're edging towards the 90th minute here. Just not quite been as dominating performance as Arsenal would have wanted it to be. They'd already scored their winner against Brentford by this point in the game on Saturday. It was an 86th minute goal from Havertz. as Porto take the free kick. It's on the near side here with Pepe, the centre-back. Forward it goes, down the right-hand side, over the head of Gabriel and into the gloves of Raya. He was looking for Conceição there, but was never really going to win it on Gabriel. He'll let the ball run through. For the goalkeeper, he drops it onto the floor in the 18-yard box. And here is Raya. He's going to go long with the ball. Kicks out towards the Arsenal right. Havertz is going to have a free touch at it and he brings it down really well. Havertz on the right wing. He's got Saka with him. Finds him. Here is Bukayo Saka. He's got Ben White with him. Plays it in front to him. And then inside to Havertz. Now to Ødegaard. 22 yards from goal. Drifting out towards the Arsenal right. Works himself away from Galeno. Ødegaard through for Saka. What a ball that is. Cut back is nowhere near Havertz. And it's cleared behind for a corner by Varela. 3 minutes is all that's been added. Almost just tells you the story of the game. There's not much that's been going on in terms of time wasting or big moments where it's delayed the game at all. It's been rather even. And if they win it now, what a way it would be to win it. It'll be Ødegaard this time to deliver the ball in. Left-footed. In it goes. 6-yard box. Ahead of one at the near post there by Galeno. Played back to Ødegaard through Saka. Back to Saka again on the edge of the area. Left-footed. Curls across into the far post. It's so overhit. Nowhere near Gabriel. And with 2 minutes left to play of added on time, it's still Arsenal 1, Porto 0. 1-1 on aggregate. It looks like we're going to extra time as it stands. So it's a goal kick for Porto. Out to the left-hand side. It's headed backwards by Rice, but volleyed forward by Saliba. Dealt with by Sanchez for Porto. And it's won back, though, by Havertz in the midfield, but his touch is so heavy. Easy clearance for Pepe, who just gets rid. And Ben White heads out for a Porto throw-in. 10 yards inside the Arsenal half on the far side. It's taken quickly, thrown backwards here to the halfway line to Wendell. Forward to Galeno, can't go inside. Cut out by White. Saka forward to Ødegaard. Finds Jesus in the central area. Back into Ødegaard again, who brings Kivior into play. Midway inside the Porto half. On this near side, it's now with Leandro Trossard. Ball goes back to Gabriel and into the midfield area now to Rice. Saliba. They've switched it to the opposite side now with White. Forward to Saka in the final third, surrounded by blue and white shirts. It's now back with Rice again in the midfield department. Kivior to Gabriel, across to Rice on the halfway line. Trying to bring the ball forward and playing it out to the right here to White. 30 seconds left of the 3 added on. White forward to Saka, trying to turn away from Wendell. No free kick given Saka's way despite he felt he was being held. Ødegaard, he turns well. Forward to Jesus, returns it to Ødegaard, who tries to roulette beyond Pepe, goes down looking for a penalty. But you can tell he's looking for it. Nothing given by the referee. Sanchez for Porto clears it down the right-hand side for Conceição, who won't beat Kivior to it. And Kivior goes back to Raya. And it's Arsenal back on the ball in their 18-yard box. And we've played the 3 minutes added on. The referee's blown his whistle as there is a Porto player down. Ødegaard there looking for the penalty after completing the 1-2 with Jesus. It was a nice roulette turn by Ødegaard. There was a little bit of contact on there by Pepe, but not enough to send Ødegaard to the ground like he did. Of course, there was dominant claims from the Arsenal supporters wanting a penalty, but not enough in it at all for me. Definitely tell Ødegaard we're searching for that one. We've played the 3 minutes added on here. And we're just waiting for these Porto players to get back on their feet. I think it is Alan Varela at the moment who's down. The Argentine holding midfielder joined in the summer, signed a 5-year contract. Came through at Boca Juniors where he spent 11 years of his career already. Only scored twice for Boca Juniors. And that's the amount of goals he's already got for Porto. Scored in back-to-back league games in January. As it looks like it's just cramped for the number 22. Who's going to be helped back to his feet. They won't be long there won't be long left to play for Arsenal once the game restarts. So it looks like extra time is the inevitable. It's a very serious cramp problem here for Alan Varela, who's been the engine in that Porto midfield alongside Nico Gonzalez. He has started every Champions League game this season, Alan Varela, and the stretch is on, so it might be a bit more of a serious problem than just cramp. So it looks like Porto are going to have to make another change in their midfield this time. They do have a decent number of backups in that midfield position. They've got Marco Grujic, who was once of Liverpool, and they've also got Stefan Eustáquio, the Canadian midfielder, who has Portuguese parents and moved to Portugal at the age of 7 from Canada, where he was born. So the Porto number 22, Alan Varela, is having to come off there on the stretcher. So clearly it must be more than a cramp issue, unless his cramp's that bad he physically just can't walk. So off he goes. Bit of a big blow that for Porto, because he's been good in that midfield, because it's been a bit chaotic in the centre of the park tonight, having to try and deal with so many runners and all trying to cover a lot of space for Porto. So we've now played 6 minutes of added on time, and despite Stefan Eustáquio starting every group stage game for Porto, they are going to go for Marco Grujic instead, who's coming on for his 3rd Champions League appearance of the season. They have both been off the bench against Antwerp and Shakhtar Donetsk. So I think they're going for a little bit more. Maybe, I don't know. They might just think Grujic is the better player, because Eustáquio and Grujic are both 27. They've both got similar Champions League experience. But Marco Grujic is on. I think we'll have about 20 seconds left to play, as we're back underway with Raya on the ball, the Arsenal goalkeeper, bringing it forward midway side the Arsenal half. He's going to go along with the kick forward out to the Arsenal left. Header away there by Grujic, the recent substitute there for Porto. Volleyed by Gabriel, and it falls here for Conceição, who goes in behind here for Taremi, down the Porto right. The flag will stay down as he's in the final third here. Goes back to Conceição, back through for Taremi. 1-2 with Conceição, who then gets the ball across, and it's dealt with through Gabriel as it deflected in the box. Flag eventually went up on Taremi from the first pass forward. And we're edging ever so closer now to extra time. Yeah, Conceição's ball just tried to bend his run there, Taremi, but not enough to keep himself onside. So it'll be a free kick for Arsenal. That will not be taken because we've got no time. And here at the Emirates Stadium, it finishes Arsenal 1, Porto 0. And after 2 legs of 90 minutes, it's 1-1 on aggregate. And we're having extra time here. Arsenal just simply didn't look dangerous enough and didn't do enough in general to really earn themselves a winner in that second half. Didn't make it hard enough for Porto, who, in fairness, didn't look an awful lot more dangerous themselves, Porto. Never really looked like scoring in that second half. And we're level here. And we're going to get 2 15-minute periods extra in this Champions League last 16 tie. As in the other last 16 game, Barcelona won 3-1, so they're through to the quarterfinals after a 4-2 win against Napoli on aggregate. And interestingly enough, Arsenal have been eliminated from 9 of their 10 previous Champions League ties in which they've lost the first leg. The only time they've ever won a knockout game in the Champions League when losing the first leg was against Porto back in 2010. They lost the first leg 2-1 that time, an own goal from Fabianski, and a winner in the second half by Radamel Falcao gave Porto a lead into the second leg, but that was blown out of the water when Arsenal won the second leg at the Emirates 5-0. Arsenal just not dominating the ball as much as I thought, which has led to them not having as many chances. And it's now led to them having to play extra time here. But for Arsenal, they were knocked out of the Europa League last season to Portuguese opposition of Sporting Lisbon. They took them to penalties, and Sporting were the team to go through. So they do need to be careful, Arsenal, because if they are knocked out, it will be seen as an upset. I'm not bothered what anyone says. Arsenal should be going through in this one. They have more than enough quality to get beyond Porto. But the Portuguese side has made it difficult for Arsenal. So we're gonna get an extra half an hour here, and a possibility of penalties, which would be very nerve-wracking but very exciting for neutrals like me and like all of you watching. If you are neutral and if you are an Arsenal fan or even a Porto fan, it will be a rather distressing experience. I wonder if any changes will be made during the break before extra time. Arsenal have brought on Jesus already. That's the only change that they have made. Porto have now made the three changes. Sanchez, the right back, coming on, the midfielder of Grujic, and the centre forward of Taremi. I don't think any more changes have been made. It'll be Arsenal to kick off, kicking left to right. Porto right to left. So we're about to indulge ourselves in an extra time period, as Arsenal have been knocked out of this stage of the Champions League on the last 7 occasions. It just seems like they have a bad relationship with this part of the competition. They'll want to change that tonight, and they're going to have to do it through an extra time period. Waiting for the restart of the game here. Conversations going on the touchline with the 4th official. Having a few conversations here with Porto staff. No idea what actually is going on. The Porto camp aren't happy with something, and it's delaying the restart. And eventually we're underway. Referee blows the whistle. Arsenal kick off. The ball goes long out to the right hand side to the edge of the box, headed on by Havertz across towards Jesus, dealt with by Pepe, the attacking midfielder, and Porto clear it straight back to Arsenal. And it's the home side back on the ball once again. Sorry, I got a bit early with the timer there. As it's Gabriel on the ball in the Arsenal half. Plenty of time on the ball for the former Lille man. Raya on the edge of the 18-yard box. Forward to Ødegaard. He's dropped very deep for the ball and he's unopposed with it. As obviously he's far away from the Porto goal, so they don't need to waste their energy pressing the Norwegian. He thought he'd scored the winner with 20 minutes to go, but his goal was disallowed for a foul in the build-up as he goes long and flicked on by Jesus. Collected by Saka through the legs of Otavio, through to Jesus again. On the byline, crosses it, and it's volleyed away by Pepe, the Brazilian for Porto, and it's Arsenal throwing. It's already worked to Ødegaard, who's gone back to Gabriel. Lifted ball out to the right. White controls it with his head and can't quite keep it in on the near side. Apologies. And that is going to be a throw-in for Porto, whose aim will more than likely be penalties, but if they can nick one on the break, it could really change the whole complexion of the game. As the throw-in goes long, headed forward by Rice, volleyed by Grujic, or as far as the head of Saliba. And it looks for Jesus, who's been knocked to the ground by Wendell. Nothing given by the referee, but Wendell hesitates and Saka comes in to take the ball off him, but then he's tackled there by Otavio, who can keep it away from Jesus. He slides Otavio, it's all a bit messy. Last touch there comes off Saka, and eventually a goal kick's given. All went a bit messy there. And as well, for anyone watching at home who's not watching the game, if you want a visual representation of what the referee looks like tonight, his name is Clement Turpin, if you want his name to search. He just looks like Leandro Trossard. He could not look more like Leandro Trossard, the referee, if you want a visual representation of him. It's quite scary how alike they look. As the goal kick goes long, headed forward by Havertz into the Porto half, where it's headed away by Grujic. Now into Taremi. Lays it off here towards Gonzalez, who just about keeps it away from Saka and Ødegaard. And Porto restart with their goalkeeper on the edge of the box. He's got time on the ball here, the number 99. Goes across to the left here to Otavio. High it goes down the Porto left towards Taremi. Headed down by Saliba, helped on by White, and once more by Rice. Towards Saka, who can't quite beat Wendell to it, and he clears out for an Arsenal throw-in midway inside their own half on this near side. Arsenal fans see him in full voice, and that's what Arteta will want. White throws it down the line, helped on by Jesus. He'll have to chase his own header, and he almost beats Otavio to it before knocking him to the ground, but it's not given as a foul by the referee. And eventually the foul goes Arsenal's way, as Otavio knocked down Saka, as he was the man to get on the ball. Like I say, Jesus just nipped in ahead of Otavio, and then Otavio got back around to get the ball off him. And then as Otavio was trying to work it away, Saka came in and took the ball off him, and he just pulled him to the ground there. So free kick for Arsenal on the right-hand side. It's an angle for a cross from a left footer or a right footer. It's a good angle for both. So it looks like it will be Ødegaard to take it. Rice is in attendance for this free kick, as the Porto line is across the penalty spot. It looks like it will be a left-footed cross from captain Ødegaard. Rice jogs back over as Ødegaard fakes it. So does Rice. Ødegaard eventually puts the ball in, and it's come off the back, I think, of Havertz towards Saka, who can't quite beat the ball. Can't beat Otavio to the ball, who clears away. Throwing for Arsenal, thrown back towards the halfway line here to Saliba. Across to Rice in the centre circle, and Arsenal can try and continue this pressure that they are mounting on the Porto defence. As it's everyone behind the ball for Porto, as Rice has it just in front of the centre circle, looking out to the left, bringing in Kivior. Fakes his first pass towards Trossard, who's been slightly quiet in the second half, despite scoring the only goal of the game so far. Ødegaard to his left to find Rice. Lays it off for Kivior. Porto being very strong, but they can't lapse in concentration, because if they leave a gap, Arsenal will more than likely exploit. Lifted out to the right to White, controlled down, ball inside, comes off Wendell, and it's a throw-in for Arsenal. White takes it quickly to Ødegaard. Across to the left here to Kivior. Back into the centre circle to Gabriel. It's now to the right with Saliba. Lifts the ball down the right-hand side. Headed in by White to Saka, who's tackled by Wendell. And it's kicked out of play there by Gonzalez. And that'll be a throw-in for Arsenal in the final third. As we've got just under 9 minutes left to play of the first half of extra time. No big opportunities as of yet. White throws it towards the byline where Ødegaard controls it beautifully. Poked away from him by Grujic. And it's a corner for Arsenal. Really well won there by Ødegaard, who controlled that throw-in with ease. And he's sucked in Grujic to tackle him. And a corner kick it'll be. It'll be a left-footed in-swinger here from Saka. Saka will deliver to the near post. Header won by Taremi. And it falls to a Porto man on the edge of the box, and they'll try and bring it away through Pepe, who's tripped by Ødegaard. Oh, he's been told to give up, get up. Wow. Really? That surprises me. It looked like Ødegaard got across him and tripped him up. But referee says no. Jesus down the left wing. Into the box. Pepe is coming across to see the ball out. Brilliant defending from Pepe, who celebrates in front of the travelling Porto supporters. I am shocked that wasn't given as a free kick there, as Porto looked to counter through the attacker, Pepe, the Brazilian. As Porto are going to make two more changes here. Eustáquio, the central midfielder, will be one of them. And the other one will be number 70, Goncalo Borges. The goalkeeper Costa sends it into the Arsenal half, headed forward by Saliba. Can't quite find Saka. Throwing midway inside the Porto half here for the away side, as it looks like more of the Porto players are starting to feel the tiredness of this task that they've got ahead of them. As Rice clears forward from the failed Porto throw. Can't be stuck by Jesus. Otavio back to Costa, the goalkeeper, who clears it into more of a central area, where it's headed forward by Saliba, controlled by Havertz in the centre circle, hooks it over his own head, and then clipped by Grujic. And that'll be a free kick for Arsenal. Just jogs back into position there, Marco Grujic. And he just went through the back of Havertz there. Rightly given free kick, I'd say. In the centre circle, Rice takes the free kick, 10 yards to his right to Saliba, back into Rice. He's going to go out to the right hand side. It's a lifted ball towards White, header won by Wendell, straight up in the air, so he'll go for a second header, and he touches out off his chest instead, and out for a throw for Arsenal in towards the final third. So many blue and white shirts back here for Porto, it's hard for Arsenal to find any space. White forward to Saka, he's onside. Tackled though by Wendell, and it's kept in play by Gonzalez. Forward towards Taremi, one back by Rice. His ball forward to Saka, just went under his foot and through for the goalkeeper of Diogo Costa. And it's Porto back in possession, and they roll it out to the right centre half here of Pepe. Looking for his options in front of him, none available to him, so he's forced to go back to the goalkeeper of Costa. Plenty of time on the ball here for the 24-year-old. Goes across to the left centre-back here of Otavio. Left-back Wendell. Inside here to Gonzalez, who's got Rice in front of him. He goes high and long here, Gonzalez. Can't quite find Conceição, but he can as Kivior mistouches the ball. Conceição bringing it out to the left here. To Taremi in the box with Saliba. Gets beyond him and shoots towards the far corner. Took no nick. Goal kick. Should have done better with that Taremi, as he actually received the ball there, I think, from Gonzalez for Porto. As he'll be replaced now, in fact. Nico Gonzalez, he'll be replaced by Porto's number 6 of Stefan Eustáquio. Canadian international. 34 appearances for Canada. But he did play 7 times for Portugal's under-21s, as he had Portuguese parents and moved to Portugal at the age of 7, despite being born in Canada. So, Stefan Eustáquio is on. And the second change, we'll see Francisco Conceição brought off for Goncalo Borges, who's making his 44th Porto appearance, the 22-year-old right winger. And this is his 43rd time off the bench. He's only ever made one start for Porto, which I find absolutely crazy. And the start came in the league back in September. So he's usually a man off the bench, Borges, sorry. as Arsenal go along with the goal kick. Header won there by Grujic. Kept alive here to Gilano for Porto. Finds Estacio. Grujic looking in behind for Galeno, who will give chase, but Saliba's there first. Back to Raya, who quickly kicks the ball away up to the halfway line. Headed forward by Pepe ahead of Jesus. Chested down by Estacio. Out to the left it goes to Galeno. About down the left-hand side. Tries to cross, comes off wide, back off Galeno. Goal kick for Arsenal. Quite fortunate, but they'll take it. Just seems very leggy, this Porto team at the moment. Very tired. And I think penalties will be the aim, and it'll be a real effort to get there. Raya in the 6-yard box goes to his left there to Gabriel. Across, it's a high ball. It finds Saliba, who controls it well into his path. It's now to the right back, White. Forward for Havertz, tackled by Grujic, sliced by White. It goes backwards and then played forward by Saliba, who can't keep it in play. And it's a throw in here for Porto, as Havertz volleyed the ball away from the manager of Conceição and just pushed him out of the way a bit unnecessarily. I'm surprised the Porto manager hasn't reacted a little bit more. Like I say, the manager was going to volley it away, but Havertz got there first and almost pushed him to the floor there. Slightly off balance, the Porto manager, who's on a booking, so that's probably why he didn't react as much as he did. And I think the Porto players knew just to try and stay calm. So Havertz survives that. Slight push off the ball on the Porto manager. Back underway with Pepe, forced to his goalkeeper Costa in the 18-yard box. Takes a touch, goes out to the left here to Otavio. Time on the ball for himself. Low ball down the line to Wendell. Inside to Estacio, the recent Porto substitute. Goes back to the goalkeeper of Costa. It's now with Pepe, midway side his own half, towards the far side here. Goes back to Costa. Ødegaard chasing down, shifts it along to the left here to Otavio. It's now with the left back Wendell, into the midfield to Estacio. Clears it forward, comes off Havertz. Throw in here for Porto, as we've got just less than a minute of the first 15 to play here. Porto work it to the far side. Just beyond the halfway line here is Sanchez, the right back. Goes back into his own half here with Pepe. Dinks a ball forward down the right channel here for Porto. Will they keep it in with Borges? It comes off him last, and that'll be a goal kick for Arsenal. Being tracked all the way there by Jakub Kivior. Is Arsenal going to make their second change of the game? It's going to be Alexander Zinchenko to come on. And Eddie Nketiah. It's going to be a double change. Eddie Nketiah has not started any of the last 8 games in the league. Just the 4 appearances in the Champions League. The 1 goal against PSV in Game 6. So 1 minute added on at the end of this first half of extra time. Don't think Arsenal are going to make the subs yet. As Raya kicks it long. Header won by Grujic. Up to the halfway line here, where it's brought down by Borges, who kicks it away from Kivior, but Rice covers him well. And Rice just pokes out a play for a throw in midway side the Arsenal half on the far side. Just not risking any possible danger there. Declan Rice, who looks to be struggling in the midfield, just slightly tired. This will take a lot out of Arsenal, who thankfully don't have a game at the weekend, as they're out of their FA Cup. The team they were meant to play in the league are still in the quarter-finals of the FA Cup. Ball forward by Otavio, headed away by Saliba, but again, they need to work on their heading, Arsenal. Their defensive headers away, they're so wayward. It's really poor, as that'll be the end of the first half of the extra time period, and it's still 1-0 on the night. No real chances created in that first half of extra time, as we'll get the 2 Arsenal changes after this small break. As both teams are still well in this, because neither team are really making any chances at the moment. Obviously, Arsenal are having more of the ball and looking more likely to score if any of the teams are going to get it in the back of the net, but nothing really too worrying to Diogo Costa's goal. And if Porto can maybe just nick a little attack on the break, then who knows? So big huddle there for Arsenal. And the inspiring team talk being led by Mikel Arteta. This will be a big failure if they get knocked out at this stage. After getting a nicer draw against Porto, who, don't get me wrong, are a brilliant European side with a lot of history. But at the end of the day, if Arsenal want to be a successful team, they've got to be showing their mindset of being that big side who can win games on the big stages. So we're eventually going to get the changes here for Arsenal. The first one's going to be the goal scorer Trossard for Nketiah. He was very uninvolved, Trossard, from pretty much the second half onwards. Very rarely getting a sniff of the ball. And the second change, we'll see Jakub Kiwior off for Alexander Zinchenko, who's been out for the last 5 games. Was out for 5 games with a calf problem, but was back on the bench against Brentford in the last game. As Porto go along from the goal kick, headed away by Zinchenko to his goalkeeper Raya, and we are back underway here in the second half of extra time, as Arsenal still search for a winner. Porto clearly playing for penalties here, and you can't blame them. Gabriel goes long for Arsenal. It's a heavy hit ball and it's straight out of play. Goal kick. Nowhere near Jesus, who's gone out to the left wing. That's where he'll play. Nketiah will go through the middle. So goal kick for Porto, as they are looking to reach the quarterfinals for the first time since the 2020-2021 season. They were knocked out at this stage last season to Inter Milan. 3 of their last 4 exits in the knockout stages of the Champions League have been to English opposition. As the goal kick headed on by Grujic, helped forward though by Rice, out to the left to Jesus, who chests it beautifully midway side the Porto half. Knocked off balance there by Sanchez and nothing given as a foul. And Porto clear through Pepe into the Arsenal half, chested down to Zinchenko by Gabriel. And Zinchenko restarts with David Raya, who controls it. He's got Taremi closing him down. He plays it forward here to Rice. First time ball curling out to the right. It's a beautiful pass from Rice into White, who goes beyond the halfway line here. Got Ødegaard to the left. Saka in front of him. Tries to go forward to Saka, who stayed onside for the moment, but being forced away from goal here. Bukayo Saka, and finding Saliba. And it's now with Ødegaard, about 5 yards in front of the halfway line. Goes across to his left here to Gabriel. It's now Rice back to Saliba. And that's to Gabriel again at left centre-back. Being closed down by Taremi. It's now with Zinchenko on the near side. Forward it goes into the Porto half to Jesus, who replays it into Zinchenko, but the pass is short. Cut away by Borges. And it's now with Porto, with their number 11 of Pepe, the Brazilian, who gets beyond one challenge and a second. What a run this is. Pepe feeds out to the right. It's a overhit ball, but it will be kept in on the corner flag here by Goncalo Borges, who will cross it low with his left foot. Comes off Zinchenko. And it's now Jesus on the corner flag, who finds Zinchenko on the byline. He's got his back to the goal. He kicks it out of play. He had pressure from behind there through Sanchez. And Zinchenko just took a heavy touch and out of play it went for a corner. A cheap set piece to give away here for Arsenal. As what a moment this could be for Porto to nick a goal to go ahead to avoid the penalty shootout. It's going to be taken here by the left back and the left foot of Wendell. Cross needs to be right. And the ball's delivered to the far post. Raya comes for it and catches it as well. Brilliant, confident goalkeeping. He wants to set the counter-attack off. He kicks it forward, Raya, into the Porto half. Havertz heads on out to the Arsenal right, but no one's there. Collected for Porto by Sanchez. And he'll restart with the goalkeeper, Costa. He just gets rid down the Porto left. Headed on towards Taremi here, who will get it here. Back into Porto's Galeno, who is in the box. Slips and the ball goes out of play. Tried there, Galeno. It was a good header won there by Taremi. But Galeno couldn't take advantage of it, slipping in the area, and his touch went out of play. So Arsenal to bring it forward. Inside their own half here with Gabriel. To the halfway line to Jesus. 1-on-1 with Sanchez. Goes to the right to Zinchenko. Back into Gabriel. Porto just suffocating Arsenal for space. White. Forward for Saka on halfway. Back into White again. It's now with Saliba. Into Declan Rice. He's going to go long. Out to the right. It's a lifted ball to Saka, who lets it run across his body. And he keeps it in. He's now running at Wendell. On his left foot. Plays it to Ødegaard. Edge of the area. Forward for Nketiah. Lays it into Saka, who can shoot. It's a big block. It's a huge block from Pepe. As Arsenal seem to have cut open the Porto defence. The door was slammed shut once again. I think it was Otavio, in fact, with the block. But whoever made it, it was vital. As White gives it away, a ball inside, no one's there. And Porto play it out to the left to Galeno. He's got runners ahead of him. Lifts it into Taremi, but the ball goes out of play. Tired pass there from Galeno. Ødegaard played it through for Nketiah, who got it into Saka. Left-footed shot blocked by Otavio. Probably would have been blocked by Pepe as well if it had gone through, but it was good. From the 21-year-old defender, Otavio. Only brought in to Porto in January, making just his 6th appearance for the club. It's now Arsenal on halfway with Rice going out to the left here, just inside the Arsenal half with Gabriel. It's now in the centre circle with Zinchenko, the substitute. Forward to Rice. Returns it to Zinchenko. Now out to the far side to White. Into Zinchenko again. All Porto players are behind the ball. As Rice has it in a central area. Clips it out to the left. Chested down by Jesus. Plays it into Havertz. 1-2 with Jesus. But the touch inside is tackled away by Pepe, who celebrates the tackle. But the throw-in's taken quickly. He's got to concentrate. The 41-year-old. As Arsenal have got it down their left-hand side here with Gabriel. Goes across to Zinchenko. As Arsenal are building the attack. Zinchenko gives it away though. It's a compact area. And he trips over Pepe, the Porto midfielder. And the away side have a free kick. As this is screaming a penalty shootout at the moment. But things can change quickly. Definitely nervy moments now for these Arsenal supporters. With their Champions League campaign flashing before their eyes at the moment. Long ball for Porto, headed away though by Gabriel to Nketiah. Wants a 1-2 with Jesus and it's completed. Nketiah charging down the left-hand side. Keeps it away from Sanchez, then back to Jesus on halfway. Who's then tackled by Borges. Ball's gone out. Arsenal throwing. Oh, it's a Porto ball instead. I thought the last touch came off an Arsenal player, off a Porto player, but clearly not. Sanchez, who gets the ball back from the throw-in, gets it stuck under his feet a little bit, but keeps it in and away from Jesus and goes back to Otavio. Calmly done there by the Mexican as Otavio goes long out towards the left-hand side, where Galeno shoves White, and that'll be given as a free kick for Arsenal. Doesn't agree with the decision, Galeno. But the referee's decision is final. So Arsenal restart from a defensive position with Saliba on the ball. 7 minutes of extra time to play here before a penalty shootout to determine who goes through to the last 8 of the Champions League. Zinchenko forward to Nketiah, takes it on the turn but slips. And Otavio plays out to the right for Porto. Borges away from Jesus and Zinchenko, but Jesus on the recovery tackles him illegally. That's given us a free kick by the referee. Couple yards in front of the halfway line. I thought that was a clean one from Jesus. The referee saw it differently. As Goncalo Borges is the man down. Got the ball for me. Not a free kick. Arteta bemused. But that's the decision that's been given. So Borges back to his feet. Pepe to take it. Not overcommitting bodies forward here, Porto. Pepe's taking his time. Wanted to go short. But instead will go down the line towards Taremi, who keeps the ball away here from Havertz. Taremi on the edge of the box. Trying to play it through towards Galeno. It eventually falls to the winger. He's got Wendell in support. Finds him on the far side. Wendell, midway inside the Arsenal half. Wants to find Galeno, and he gets it to him as Ødegaard slips. Galeno from afar is going to shoot. It deflects into the hands of Raya. Could have gone anywhere. But Arsenal survive a Porto scare, which have been pretty rare, as Havertz is tackled from behind by Grujic. And that'll be a yellow card. That'll be a free kick for Arsenal, taking quickly to Declan Rice. He's had to play a little bit deeper since Jorginho came off with about 10 minutes to play. 5 minutes on the clock. Jesus on halfway. He has to go back to Gabriel. And the ball runs through for Raya. They were so good at home, and they still haven't conceded at home in the Champions League this season, Arsenal. In the group stage, they beat PSV 4-0, Lens 6-0, and Sevilla 2-0. And White brings the ball down beautifully in the final third. Ben White's got options. In the boxes, Havertz touch gets away from him, cleared by Pepe, straight to White. Forward for Saka, just outside the area at the moment. Saka on his left foot, finds Rice. Good challenge there by Wendell. And Porto try and clear, but it's a short one. Regained by Havertz, given away by Zinchenko. And Pepe shoved to the ground by Havertz, a push in the back. And that'll be a foul and a yellow card for the number 29. And I'm surprised he's stayed on so long, Kai Havertz, at the moment. He seems like he's desperately struggling out there. And they do have the likes of Smith Rowe, former Porto man Vieira on the bench if they want to change it up. As Pepe clears long for Porto, down their right channel. Taremi will chase it. Gabriel will get there first. It's not dealt with, though, here by Gabriel, who's been shoved to the ground by Taremi. Free kick for Arsenal. Gabriel wanted to take quickly. Taremi was in the way. Not going to be punished, though, there, Taremi. As Arsenal, again, have had so much of the ball in that extra time period, but haven't really created a lot with it. So Raya's going to go long with this free kick. It's just to the left side of the 18-yard area. It's down the Arsenal left towards Jesus, who loses out to Grujic. The header goes back into the Arsenal half. Taremi chases, headed forward by Gabriel. Straight out of play for a Porto throw-in on halfway. Which will more than likely be taken by Jorge Sanchez, who didn't even come off the bench in the first leg, but he's been pretty solid since coming off the bench in the second. Throwing goes long down the line. Flicked on by Zinchenko. Here is Pepe in the right wing position for Porto, who tries to kick it off Gabriel. It just slowly rolls into the box and dealt with by Rice ahead of Borges. Jesus, though, gives it away. It's caught cold on the ball. Sanchez with his pass inside deflects off Zinchenko, who can play it forward to Nketiah. Now into Havertz, who's charging down the left. Their touch gets away from him, allows Pepe to come across and take it away. And Pepe's on a little run of himself. Kicks it off Zinchenko. Thrown for Porto. So good at the age of 41, Pepe, the number 3 for Porto. What a player. What a professional. What an icon of the game. Yes, he can be absolutely crazy at times. I think he's toned it down a bit. Some of the red cards he's got in his career. He's got 15 red cards in his club career altogether. Pepe. As Arsenal get a free kick. Havertz was the man down. This Porto are close to sending Premier League leaders Arsenal all the way to penalties. The one real time that Arsenal breached the Porto defence, they scored, which just shows you how solid this Porto side have been tonight. Away at the Emirates, they usually have a rubbish record against English sides in England. Yes, they are losing the game, but they knew that they could afford to concede one. There's a ball in behind in the box towards White. It's collected by Costa. Too much on it there by Rice. And Porto continue to kill the clock. Less than a minute to play. The left-back Wendell sends it forward. Flicked on by Taremi towards Galeno. It's hooked away by Saliba. Into the air it goes. Headed down by Havertz. Collected here by Saka. Turns away from Eustáquio, who pulls back Saka. That'll be a free kick for Arsenal. About 10 yards inside the Porto half on the far side. So maybe an opportunity just to launch this one into the area. Don't think they'll have time to really start an attack from the back. Doesn't look like anyone's going to really make their way into the box here. I'm not sure what they're going to do. White is the one with it. He goes short to his left to Saliba. And as we hit the 120th minute, no time added on. And that is full time here at the Emirates Stadium. It is Arsenal 1, Porto 0. 1-1 on aggregate. A first half goal just before the break by Leandro Trossard. Got Arsenal level in the tie. But they have just not been dangerous enough to score the second and get themselves through. Still have to do it through penalties. 1-0 after 120 minutes. 1-1 after 210. Over the two legs. So penalties we have. Now this is anyone's game. I'm sorry. People say it's a bit cliche to say it's a lottery, but that's my view. Yes, you can do your research and you can do your preparation, but at the end of the day, football's fine margins and anything can go wrong on penalties. You know, who can account for a slip, maybe? Or a hit off the post and it goes across the goal. You know, you just don't know what can happen in penalty shootouts. Going to get the penalty shootout scoreline ready. It's just going to go into that little area just above the actual scoreline. So the penalty is above the aggregate scoreline. As both goalkeepers, Raya and Costa, are getting last-minute instructions for these penalties. As there is no way Arsenal can lose and go out at the last 16 stage for an 8th time in a row. That's a real curse. And they're going to have to go through penalties. They were knocked out on penalties by Sporting Lisbon in the Europa League last season at this ground. And they, for all the goals they have been scoring recently, Arsenal, just not good enough tonight to win the game in the 90 minutes or through extra time. Didn't create enough dangerous chances. And in fairness, Porto have performed really well. They deserve this crack at penalty kicks. Arsenal did win the Community Shield on penalties, scoring all 4 spot kicks against Manchester City at Wembley. As we're going to get the decision of which end they're going to be taken at and who goes first. It's where goalkeepers can be made heroes. It's where the outfield players can become villains here. As both captains unite with the referee. Ødegaard, Pepe and Turpin. 2 separate flips of the coin to indicate which way it's going to go. So the penalties will be taken at the Arsenal end, away from the Porto supporters. And the penalties will be taken first by Arsenal. So Arsenal take first, and they also have the penalties away from the Porto supporters. So advantage to Arsenal just through 2 flips of a coin. Porto still in full voice. I think Arsenal are probably the more nervy set of supporters out of the 2. So it'll be Arsenal to take first, I presume. That's what it looked like from my lip reading skills. As the referee is now going to have a word with the 2 goalkeepers just to set out the rules and the boundaries of what they can and can't do. 20-11 in UK time, and we're still waiting for a winner. So who will take first for the Gunners? That nervous energy that Arsenal will be feeling. And it's the captain to take the responsibility of the first. Martin Ødegaard to take it. Thought he'd scored the winner with 20 minutes to play in normal time, but his goal was disallowed as there was a foul in the build-up by Kai Havertz on Pepe. Can he get Arsenal off to the right start here? He's up against a 6'3" Portuguese giant in goal in Diogo Costa. Ødegaard with a pretty straight run-up as it seems to start off with. He then moves across to his right. Ødegaard with his left foot strikes it into the right-hand side of the goal. And the goalkeeper dives the wrong way. And it's 1-0 to Arsenal at the start of the penalty shootout. Big celebrations from Raya and Ødegaard as he sent the goalkeeper the wrong way. Convincing penalty. And the first one to be taken for Porto is going to be through Pepe, the Brazilian attacking midfielder, who always seemed just to have loads of energy in the game, even in extra time, despite him playing from the very beginning. The Arsenal supporters are going to do the best they can to put him off behind the goal. So it's their number 11, Pepe, with their first spot kick of the shootout. Again, a straight run-up. He then moves along to his left so he can take with his right. Pepe stutters, shoots to the bottom left corner. Raya goes the wrong way. And it's 1-1 after 1 penalty each. Very calm and composed by Pepe, who was not put off by the distractions behind the goal. Next penalty kick will be Kai Havertz, who has won a European shootout before in the UEFA Super Cup back in 2021, beating Villarreal. I believe he scored in that shootout. Can he put Arsenal back ahead and give them the upper hand in the shootout? Havertz with the spot kick. Runs towards it, stutters and sends the keeper the wrong way again. Into the bottom right corner. I'm sure Arsenal fans were slightly nervous. If someone's going to miss a penalty on paper, you'd probably point the finger towards Havertz. Stuttered with the run-up, and he didn't seem to put off the goalkeeper. He stayed put and dived at the right moment, but went the wrong way. Next penalty for Porto. It's going to be their left-back Wendell, who has performed really well tonight up against Bukayo Saka. And can he put the ball in the back of the net? He is left-footed. He strides up to it. And it's saved by David Raya onto the post. And Arsenal have the advantage in the penalty shootout. From first glances, I don't think it's a very bad penalty. It's a terrific save. He went across his body to the right-hand side, and as it deflects off the post, it comes off Raya's leg and it just goes wide. That could have gone so wrong. But it goes away from goal, and Arsenal have the advantage. They can go 2 up here if they score their next penalty. It's Saka, who has took many big penalties in his career already, and he's got another one here. With the weight of a stadium on his shoulders, Saka, oh, he takes it so well. Powerfully struck into the left-hand side of the goal. Costa, the Porto goalkeeper, was too late to react. And it's 3-1 after Arsenal have taken 3 penalties. Porto just the 2. But if Porto miss this one, then it is a chance for Arsenal to win it. The 4th penalty for Porto. It will be taken by the substitute Marco Grujic, formerly of Liverpool. Can he dispatch his penalty? He needs to dispatch it. He runs up to it and he places it into the right side of the goal. Raya got a touch to it, but couldn't keep it out. Porto still alive in the shootout. Opened up the body, not directly in the corner. Raya got a touch to it, but wasn't enough to keep it out. And now Declan Rice with Arsenal's 4th. This will put Arsenal in the best position possible to win the shootout. If he scores this, they have a chance to win it. If Porto miss their next, it's Rice with his right foot. Sprints to it, and it goes down the middle. The goalkeeper dives away to his left. And Arsenal are 4-2 up in penalties. And if Porto fail to score, it is Arsenal through to the last 8 of the Champions League. And it's going to be number 13, Galeno. He scored the goal in the 94th minute in the first leg to give Porto the lead. He has been a constant threat down that left wing, was starved of real service throughout the latter stages of the game, but they need him to score. He cannot miss. It simply has to hit the back of the net. Galeno to keep Porto in this shootout with his right foot. Galeno strikes it, and it's saved by David Raya, and Arsenal are through to the quarter-finals of the Champions League. They win the shootout by 4-2. Raya the hero, he saved twice, and Arsenal have got beyond Porto through penalties. They've gone the long route, but eventually for Arsenal it's worth it, as they have finally got beyond the last 16 stage for the first time since 2010. Their last 7 exits in the Champions League have all come at this stage. But that dreadful record has now been rewritten. They are through to the quarter-finals. It may have took a penalty shootout, but they will not care. David Raya who made a mistake in the first leg. Some poor goalkeeping positioning allowed Porto to win it late. But this time he's now the hero. Clearly Porto players not happy. It looks like it was about to boil over, but people have been able to just calm everyone down. Raya clearly has a boot on the line. And the 2 penalties he saved were both to his left. Galeno needed to score that final spot kick. Didn't do it. And Porto bow out again. Back-to-back seasons, they have been knocked out in the last 16. Arsenal this season, Inter Milan last time around. And it's just frustration again in the Champions League for Porto, who were knocked out by Inter Milan last season just by a 1-0. Shows they're really tough to beat in Europe, but Arsenal have got through via a penalty shootout. It doesn't matter how you do it, as long as you get yourself through. And that is exactly what Arsenal have done here. Great commentary, mate. Thank you very much. But it's David Raya who is the hero. For all the goalkeeping drama they've had this season, it's the position they've called upon to pull out the big moment here. Saving 2 penalties. It seems like Arsenal have got penalty shootouts on lock. They look like they just know exactly how to win them. And they are through to the last 8. And they are through to the last 8 of the Champions League, alongside Barcelona, Manchester City, Real Madrid, PSG and Bayern Munich. Tomorrow we'll see who go through between Dortmund and PSV. Then Atletico Madrid and Inter Milan. What a nerve-wracking night for Arsenal. They weren't at their best, but through they go. That is the end of the live commentary here from the Emirates Stadium. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. The last 16 curse has been lifted from Arsenal. They are finally through to the quarter-final stage of the Champions League for the first time since 2010. It took penalty shootout for them to do it, but David Raya is the hero. Porto bow out at the last 16. Arsenal are through. And can they go closer to a first Champions League title? Wait and see. They go through the skin of their teeth. But the main thing for Arsenal is they are through. They knock out Porto. 1-1 on aggregate, 4-2 on penalties, and Arsenal are through to the last 8 of the Champions League.